winning the battle? And are there any legal guardrails in CNN's arsenal to prevent damaging information from being revealed here?
I'm sure that he has, I don't know, his contract is probably pretty thorough. There's probably some NDAs in there. And I'm confident that there are. So it just depends, what kind of information he has that he could share. I think CNN is probably pretty terrified at the fact of what he might say. In fact, he's not the only one. They're saying that it was just Chris Cuomo who was acting with his brother, but in fact, it was Jeff Zucker, it was Alison Gullis. They were all coaching Andrew Cuomo on how to attack Donald Trump, how to help address this media narrative when the allegations of sexual harassment came out. So I think there are a lot of people who Chris Cuomo has the goods on. They're probably quite afraid what he might share. And so I think if I had to read the tea leaves from this perspective without looking at any contracts, I would say that he probably has the upper hand in this legal battle.
Mayor, how much of this drama do you think is driven by the recent merger of CNN's parent company, Warner Media, with Discovery? Do you think that maybe they're trying to rip the Band-Aid off as fast as they can so they can rebrand the network as Straight News? I mean, they've got some work to do there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what's interesting is I know that Jeff Zucker had asked to stay on until that merger had been completed, and they said no to him. And so Time Warner did, the CEO. So the fact of the matter is that the principal shareholder of Discovery wants to take CNN in a completely different direction, wants to get rid of this opinionated, personality-driven commentary that's they're passing off as journalism. And he wants to tack it in a completely different direction. So I do think that they're rebranding themselves, and they're going to have to toss a lot of ballast overboard in order to do that, in order to make up for the last 4 or 5 years at least of having lost all sorts of journalistic integrity and credibility.
Yeah. Mayor Benno, thank you so much. We always appreciate your legal perspective.
Aaron, Jen, thanks.
Now, CNN can't seem to catch a break, and neither can Joe Biden.
That's right, but they bring it on themselves. And his unprecedented failures, they have the GOP taking a page out of the Trump playbook on this President's Day. That's next.
You're on the go and need news now. No paywalls, no cable subscriptions. Just download the Newsmax app from your smartphone store. It's free. And watch Newsmax TV anytime, anywhere.
The stories of the men and women in the military who have sacrificed so much for us are fading from the headlines. Many of these brave heroes came home with injuries that changed their lives forever. But for some service members, the greatest casualty is being forgotten.
As a father, I'm eternally grateful to Wounded Warrior Project. They've been with us throughout our journey. It was a tough road.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you'll help provide free, life-changing programs and services to injured veterans and family members.
One of the biggest concerns that my husband and I had was what was going to happen to our son when we were no longer here. Wounded Warrior Project is going to be there for the long haul. It provides such peace of mind to know that Alan's not in this alone.
To join the Advanced Guard monthly giving program, call or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
You've helped me, and it's very much appreciated. I'm just one of many. Please don't stop giving.
That kid is an amazing young man.
I wish I could write a thank you letter to every American that has supported Wounded Warrior Project and the work that they do. They're changing lives.
Now is the time for healing and recovery. But many of these wounded service members can't do it alone. They need your help, and they need Wounded Warrior Project. Call or go online at honorwarriors.org and support our wounded warriors today.
And attorney general who has really led the way, somebody who has been brave and strong, Ken Paxton, my complete and total endorsement.
Ken Paxton is America's most conservative attorney general. When Joe Biden stopped deporting illegal immigrants, Ken Paxton took them to court and won, and a federal judge ordered deportations to continue. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, defending the Constitution, protecting our freedom.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Well, with so much going on with Ukraine and Russia, President's Day is not exactly trending, but the GOP Twitter account is alive and well, Heather, Aaron. Heather was last week.
That's okay.
I'll get it right one of these days. I told you I was going to do that.
This is a good meme, though. Look at that. I mean, right there. Happy President's Day to everyone except for Joe Biden. But that's true. They played into exactly what they thought they would. Biden never leads from the front, and it looks like Republicans have taken a few notes on the art of the tweet.
Oh, the art of the tweet. I see what you did there.
See what I
like
did
that.
there?
Yeah. And not only that, but did you see the warm welcome that Trump received outside of his golf club today in Florida? I mean, he's like a rock star wherever he goes, Aaron. It's unbelievable how people just flock to him. They've got the signs. They go crazy. It's awesome to see.
It warms your heart, and that's what makes him what? Is he both of our favorite president?
I think definitely. Yeah, there's no question.
Mine.
Reagan was a little kind of before my time, a little bit, sort of. I was a little bit too young. I know he was a great president as well, but 45, I mean, there's no comparison.
Nothing beats 45, but I also love him
45 and 47, right?
45 and 47, of course. But what I love most about him is all of his great policies, everything he did great for the American people, the tax cut, but also that he endorsed my son, Mother's Day last year at Mar-a-Lago.
Wow.
That President Trump endorsement is worth a lot.
Look at that.
I tell you
what.
That
is a coveted endorsement.
That is, and he didn't have to
do anything.
There's a
lot of people running for
be
Congress right now that would kill to have that endorsement. I mean, and look at that. Your son just walks right up.
Walks right up, gets the hug,
big
gets the
hug,
endorsement.
that big Trump hug. That's the best kind,
big
too.
Big smile
right?
on his face. So.
I love that. Well, you know, yeah, it's unbelievable how much things have changed, Heather, but at least we can all still look back fondly on the times we had under 45 and then look ahead to things being much brighter with the next administration. Well, folks, that's going to do it for us on this Monday night. We'll see you back here tomorrow night at 9 o'clock Eastern.
I look forward to being here with you all week. Rob Schmidt Tonight starts right now. Rob?
On this President's Day, America's president is humiliated by Russia's. Let's check it out. Welcome to Rob Schmidt Tonight. The Biden administration utterly outplayed by the Russians. It was all on display today. For the United States, a number of embarrassing developments tonight. Putin has declared far eastern Ukraine, the Donbas region, as now independent, which really means, of course, it is now effectively Russian. So-called Russian peacekeepers are reportedly moving into the Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republics, as they're called. These will be soldiers who are fully armed Russian soldiers they will be. And those regions do make up the Donbas. That's what we're going to be talking about a lot. There on the right, you see Crimea to the south. That's already been taken. The Donbas there, more straight to the east of Ukraine. And these areas have been under Russian occupation for 6 years now. And it appears these two new ones at the top will be Vladimir Putin's. He will own them outright here as of now on. Putin spoke on Russian TV today for about an hour. Here's some of the highlights.
In this regard, I deem it necessary to make a decision that should have been made long time ago to immediately recognize the independence and sovereignty of Donetsk People's Republic and Lugansk People's Republic. And those who seize the power and keep the power in Kyiv, we demand to stop hostilities immediately.
Well, his wording tells you everything. Ukraine effectively belongs to Russia in his mind. This video reportedly showing Russian military vehicles moving into eastern Ukraine. We can't verify it at this point, but that is what the claim is from people that live in the area. If that's accurate, that right there on your screen is a full-fledged invasion of Russian troops into Ukraine. There are many reports of this happening. This is just one of the videos. But earlier tonight, on a background call with reporters at the White House, this limp-wristed administration saying a senior administration official said Russian troops moving into Donbass would not be a new step because Russia has had forces in this region for the past 8 years. So basically, the White House is doing everything they can to kowtow to Putin in this moment. They do not want to make a move. They do not want to pull out their stick. They have no idea what to do. It's mind-blowing. Every single test that Putin gives to Biden, Biden fails. It's unbelievable how bad this White House can be, leading with tremendous weakness, inviting Putin to take more. Why wouldn't he? Over the weekend, Biden and Putin agreed to a phone call in principle, assuming that Russia did not invade Ukraine. And since this invasion is apparently no big deal, that phone call still could happen, even as his people are moving into Ukraine. As far as the meager response to Putin moving in, Biden issuing an executive order to, quote, prohibit new investment, trade, and financing by U.S. persons to, from, or in those specific regions of Ukraine. That's it. So he's only sanctioning the Donbas region. Nothing else. Nothing else at all. So if it ended right now, what would the score be? Well, Putin would still get to keep his pipeline in Germany. He gets a nice big chunk of Ukraine. He doesn't face any real sanctions at all. None of the sanctions Biden said were coming if he invaded Ukraine. So that was a fake red line, which, of course, Democrats seem to be pretty good at. Rest assured, Vladimir Putin is licking his lips tonight, and no doubt Xi Jinping is now thinking real hard about Taiwan after watching this disastrous response from our White House. We have a mess on our hands. Earlier today, Putin laid out an elaborate, long-winded, one-sided case for why Russia has a right to take back these territories.
Once again, I would like to underscore that Ukraine is not just a neighboring country to us. It is an inherent part of our own history, culture, spiritual space. They are our comrades, relatives, not only colleagues, friends, but also our family, people we have blood and family ties with.
So remember that statement there. I mean, basically he's saying those are our people in that country. That's what he believes. Those are our people in Ukraine, and they're living under this fake government, run by this ex-comedian who stole power. That's what he tells his people in Russia. It's all just a fake government controlling all of our people, and he wants to bring his people back under his power. Does that sound like somebody that's just going to be happy with that little chunk of eastern Ukraine that's not very heavily populated? Of course not. Putin did make one very interesting case today, though, amid a slew of lies, which is most of what he says. There was a bit of truth. Putin very cleverly pointing out what Ukraine has been for many greedy Western elites in this world, like Hunter Biden, for instance. Ukraine has been a cash cow.
The whole idea of the so-called pro-Western civilizational choice of the Ukrainian democratic power was and is still not in creating better conditions for the good of the people, but to serve the geopolitical adversaries of Russia, to save billions of dollars they stole from the Ukrainians and hidden by oligarchs on the accounts in Western banks.
He's not wrong. It is a deeply corrupt country, and it's a great place to go if you want to pull a lot of money out, because you can. Just ask Hunter. Made tens of thousands of dollars a month sitting on the board of a Ukrainian energy company doing nothing, smoking crack and calling up ladies of the night. That's all he's good at. We all remember his dad, Joe Biden, bragging about getting that prosecutor fired who was going to look into that energy company. The left, of course, tries to say that's all nonsense, which is what they always say when they get caught doing something. But that is the status of Ukraine, the country that's being defended so vigorously tonight by this administration. Really is not that great of a country. It's heavily corrupt. The White House has been obsessed with the potential for this war for many reasons that you're aware of. They love the idea of this. The Washington Post saying it clearly, with or without war, Ukraine gives Biden a new lease on leadership. You see, that's how it is. You screw everything up, you need another chance. You need something you don't screw up. It's like when you can't get a hit, you just need to get at the plate again. Finally, you get a hit, you break the cycle. Kamala today in Germany, even with a mask on, watch her face. You can tell just how happy Kamala is to have this potential war.
I mean, listen, guys, we're talking about the potential for war in Europe. I mean, let's really take a moment to understand the significance of what we're talking about.
I mean, listen, guys, we're the biggest idiots in the world. We've screwed up everything we've done for the last year. But we now have another thing that we can potentially do right. So let's really, really focus on that. Let's just forget all of our domestic disasters and just focus solely on Ukraine. This war's a huge deal. We all need to be in on this. We have to just forget everything else and just focus on this. Kamala Harris. So the White House, of course, has been giddy to have a foreign policy challenge, and when it happens, they still get embarrassed like they have today. How astonishing is that? This was supposedly their big opportunity to change the narrative, a chance to finally do something right. Obama's senior advisor, David Plouffe, tweeting last night, "Glad Joe Biden is president tonight." David Plouffe, I mean, we need to check him for a pulse. Another tweet indicating this, Jeremy Bash, ex-Defense Department Chief of Staff, evidently has said, "I have never seen a U.S. government team as agile and as focused as this Biden team is in declassifying intelligence and calling out Russia's activity. I've never seen an administration this agile." Can you imagine? Who can say something like, who can put a statement out like that and think that you're not just going to get laughed right out of the room? It's amazing. It's amazing what people will say with a straight face, isn't it? We're seeing so much of that right now. Joe Biden was sold to America as a statesman who would restore American leadership to the world. What a job he's doing. After 4 years of inactivity, the world's worst actors are back with a vengeance. ISIS is reemerging, Taliban raping and pillaging in Afghanistan, enjoying all their power and new American toys. Putin is expanding his empire tonight. Xi Jinping probably thinking the same thing. And a great moment yesterday from the worst Secretary of State in United States history.
In your assessment, why is he escalating with Ukraine now? Why didn't he do this under the previous administration?
I hope you get a chance to ask him.
Well, I hope you get a chance to ask him. A tweet from 2 years ago today, believe it or not. 2 years ago today. Vladimir Putin doesn't want me to be president, said Joe Biden. He doesn't want me to be our nominee. If you're wondering why, it's because I'm the only person in this field who's ever gone toe-to-toe with him. Can you believe this old fool got in the White House? I mean, how humiliating this is going to be for the next 3 years. And now, just over a year into his presidency, Joe Biden, of course, has ordered the evacuation of his second American embassy. We're on a roll. Retired Brigadier General Donald Bolduc joins us now. And, sir, thank you so much for being here tonight. We appreciate it. So the move today apparently is not an invasion, is what we understand, right?
Well, that's what we're hearing. But, you know, I spoke this weekend about a proxy invasion that was occurring with the separatists taking the fight to the Ukrainian military. And with the Minsk agreement, you know, the Ukrainian military had to withdraw because they couldn't, you know, they couldn't fight.
Yeah.
Yet another, you know, stupid, restriction in place that is, you know, just going to embolden Putin and his generals and the guys on the ground. So, yeah, this is exactly what we're seeing. We had the proxy invasion over the weekend. Now we have Putin declaring the LNR and the DNR and the Donbas region autonomous states. He gets protected by international law. He's going to go in and do peacekeeping operations. And, you know, It's actually brilliant. He's playing chess. We're playing checkers. And I mean, we're playing the Cracker Barrel checkers, you know, with the big mat and the big checkers, right? I mean, it's an embarrassment. And you know, what's really sad is the fact that this is very dangerous for America. And I just want to warn the American people. You know, I was the first to say, yes, he's going to invade. And he's been very clever about it. But I want to warn the American people that America has a responsibility to protect freedom. And if we keep allowing him to restore and get footholds more and more in the Ukraine, Latvia, you know, Lithuania, Estonia, all these other countries are going to start worrying about their security. And we're going to be forced into this under a national security team that is incompetent.
Now, you just said that, you know, we have a responsibility. I think there are a lot of people watching this show right now that disagree with you on that say we don't have a responsibility, that say who cares about the Donbas region? Who cares about any of this? Why do we need to worry? Why do we need to still be the world police?
Well, I don't want to be the world police, and I'm not looking for a ground war any more than anyone else is. However, the restoration of the Soviet Union, which he said he wanted to do because he believes the worst thing that happened in the 20th century was the fall of the Soviet Union, is dangerous to us. And as you mentioned earlier in your monologue, you said, hey, this just opens the door and emboldens China to do what they want to Taiwan, North Korea to do what they want in the region there with South Korea and Japan, Iran to endanger you know, Israel. This has implications that are worldwide, and this imbalance in our national security, where we're not safe in the homeland because he's opened up our southern border. He's now created problems in the northern border because he agrees with the tyrant up there, Trudeau. And we have energy issues, we have inflation issues, we have mismanagement of COVID, our security here in the United States, our critical infrastructure. It's all vulnerable, and it's all at the fault of this guy. Yep. And so we do have responsibilities both at home and abroad to protect Americans. That's just the nature of the beast.
Real quick before I let you go, and I don't have a lot of time for this, but what do you think the next move is? Obviously, if he's going to move into Donbas tonight, real quick, where does he go next in him?
He's going to consolidate his gains there. He's going to set himself up. He's going to continue to move equipment across. He's going to continue to do his electronic warfare. And look, we're running away. We've left the country with our embassy. And as you noted, it's the second embassy now. And when we run away, it's a big signal for him to keep pushing.
All right, Brigadier General Donald Bolduc. Sir, thank you for the time and your service. We do appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. God bless you.
Take care. Thank you, sir. All right, coming up, today Vladimir Putin essentially claimed that Ukraine's entire heritage belongs to his country. Is there any truth to that, is the question. Congressman Darrell Issa is a veteran and holds a wealth of knowledge on foreign affairs. He joins us to discuss that coming up next. Also next, disturbing actions by Canada's dictator against protesters.
Invoking the Emergencies Act has been necessary. It has been the responsible thing to do.
Well, he admires China and the Castros. He's calling his government's actions the responsible thing to do. Rebel News host David Menzies joins us from Ottawa coming up. Also, outrage from parents in California after learning about sleeping arrangements on a school camping trip. That later in News from the Left.
Congress created rules to help you retire. All you had to do was work hard, save, and play by them. But now Congress has changed the rules on you in the middle of the game. They've created new traps that could force you to pay a 50% punishment tax if you make one wrong move. The Wall Street Journal called it a bait and switch. Everything you worked for could be at stake. To find out more, get the new hidden landmines set to blow up your retirement savings from Newsmax Finance. The new special report reveals how to skirt the new tax traps. Claim your free copy today. Supplies are limited, so act now.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell. Retailers, shopping channels, and now even banks have tried canceling myself and MyPillow. Well, during these times, your support has meant everything to us. My employees and I want to personally thank each and every one of you by passing the savings directly on to you. For a limited time, you can get my brand new product, My Slippers, for 50% off. That's the lowest price ever. And remember, My Slippers come with an exclusive 4-layer design. These layers combine to give you amazing comfort and support and help reduce stress on your feet. And with the durable indoor-outdoor sole, you can wear My Slippers anytime, anywhere. I personally guarantee these will be the most comfortable slippers you'll ever own. So go to MyPillow.com now and use the promo code on your screen or call the 1-800 number below to get My Slippers for 50% off, the lowest price in history. And if you do it right now, I'm going to include a free gift with your purchase. Thank you and God bless.
I know what it's like to have back pain. When I found Inversion, it changed my life forever, and I believe it can change yours. I'm proud to introduce the most effective, the most comfortable teeter inversion table ever, the Teeter Fit Spine. When you invert, your back and spine elongate. With the pressure off, your back muscles relax, the spine realigns, discs rejuvenate, and nerve roots are relieved of painful pinching.
My back was pretty bad. Now I got on the teeter, and I felt it like just alleviating, just stretching. Now I can go out, I can go play basketball, go walking with the kids. I'm a new person. My back feels the best it's ever felt.
We're making it easier than ever to try the Teeter in your own home with 0 down and 0% interest only at tryteeter.com.
Over 3 million people have put their trust in Teeter to feel better, move better, and live better. I'm in my 80s, and I feel great.
Go to tryteeter.com to start your journey to back pain relief today.
Why do nearly 1 million businesses choose Stamps.com to mail and ship? No more trips to the post office. No more paying full price for postage. And great rates from USPS and UPS. Mail letters. Ship packages. Anytime, anywhere. For less. A lot less. Get our special TV offer, a 4-week trial plus postage and a digital scale. Go to stamps.com/TV and never go to the post office again.
It is an inherent part of our own history, culture, spiritual space.
All right, welcome back. Today, Vladimir Putin essentially claimed that Ukraine's, effectively their entire heritage, belongs to Russia. The question is there any truth to that? Joining me now is Congressman Darrell Issa of California, a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, also a veteran. Sir, thank you so much for taking the time. When he says that, you know, he almost claims that, you know, these people belong to us. Does he have a point there?
Well, I guess if we look back in history, we could say yes. My family, my mother's family, their last name was Bielefeld, and they were from the Bohemian kingdom. They had been Germans living in what became Czechoslovakia for a very long time. And that's what Hitler used as an excuse to invade that country. Mm-hmm. Now, what's interesting is that Putin's predecessors throughout the Soviet Union sent Russians in, paid them huge amounts to go and live in Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, even Afghanistan, and certainly moved them into Ukraine, particularly the areas close to the Russian border. So he can say it, but the reality is most of them were moved there as part of the Russianization, if you will, of the Soviet Union. And particularly these Russian speakers, they're Russian speakers because of the Soviet era. Yeah. And that's exactly what he's taking advantage of.
Do you think that he is as supported in the eastern end of Ukraine and in that Donbas area as he says he is?
Well, polls that were taken in this free country when it was still free showed about 20% had sympathies for the old Soviet Union, mostly an older demographic. When you really look at it, though, these people in Ukraine, particularly before 2014, they'd been living in comparative freedom and comparative wealth. And you better believe they wanted nothing to do with being part of the old Soviet Union, and certainly nothing to do with Putin's view of how he deals with these peripherals for his benefit. So
you say that before 2014, Ukraine was doing a lot better as a country. So they've fallen on hard times the last 6-8 years. What exactly has changed?
Well, one of the biggest challenges that they've had has been this constant need to have a large military to try to defend their borders. Also, the taking of Crimea. You know, Ukraine has been chipped away at, and then at the same time has had huge military cost. And that's all had an effect. But the reality is that if you look at the people of Ukraine, you're well over 80% want nothing to do with, this dictator in his country. And the reality is what he's done is he's taken by force. And remember, the parts that he's been occupying, he's been putting people in, he's been affecting it since 2014. And, what's interesting about that is that was the last time before Donald Trump that you had a Biden administration. What we really have now is a Reagan moment with a Carter president, or maybe a Churchill moment with a Chamberlain president. But what we have is somebody willing to appease, willing to compromise, calls it diplomacy. Diplomacy and capitulation should not be synonyms. In this case, they are. NATO is not meeting their obligation. They made a solemn promise to the people of Ukraine when they turned their nuclear weapons in, the first country ever to do so. They made a promise that they would be defended. They should have kept their nuclear weapons, and they should have kept them pointed at Moscow.
That is one of the craziest parts of the story, is that they sent their weapons back to Russia, I think.
They did.
And now they've got this situation.
Look, at the time of the collapse of the Soviet Union, people falsely thought, well, it's collapsing without a shot. It's over. Yeah. The reality is it remains a dictatorship. It is being cobbled back together, and it is becoming a fierce enemy. And even though the late John McCain called it a gas station impersonating a country, ever since the Biden administration came into office, gas prices have gone through the roof. That means their oil revenues have gone through the roof, and it's allowing them to put 3/4 of their troops surrounding Ukraine and take it without any pushback from the NATO and the U.S. that promised these people freedom.
One interesting moment, this is an old soundbite. I think it's going to be Vladimir Putin talking about a meeting he had with Bill Clinton, I believe. Let's go ahead and play it.
Back in 2000, when President Bill Clinton was visiting Moscow at the end of his term, I asked him, how would America see Russia joining NATO?
So yeah, that was from today, talking about a conversation he had with Bill Clinton. Did Russia really want to join NATO? I feel like I do remember something like that.
Oh, absolutely. They wanted to, in fact, be part of the club so they couldn't be fought from the club. It's the same reason that they have veto power in the United Nations. Yeah. They're in the United Nations to neuter the United Nations, and they've done a good job over the years, as has China. NATO is strong because NATO is an organization that has free people who will fight for their freedom historically. Right now, I doubt that they're really willing to. I just came back from Munich. The Germans, without us pushing, are basically going wobbly, as the late Margaret Thatcher said of George H.W. Bush, or actually said, don't go wobbly. Yeah. But, that's what's happening. Yeah. You have a president who had an hour-plus conversation with Putin, and Putin took from that long conversation, not that there would be a military response, but that he might have to pay with some sanctions for a while. Ukraine, and any part of Ukraine, is worth it to this man who has already taken control of Belarus, who's taken control of Crimea, who now is taking control of parts of Ukraine again.
Congressman Issa, thank you so much for the perspective. Really interesting stuff there. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Anytime.
I want to go real quick. I think we have the feed, guys, from the United Nations right down the street. This is, you got Ukraine's representative there at the UN. This is that emergency meeting of the UN General Security Council. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
And sovereignty of Ukraine, and inconsistent with the principles of the Charter of the United Nations, and I thank the Secretary General for this powerful statement. In conclusion, I would like to reiterate that it remains up to Russia to abandon its long-lasting strategy on Ukraine, based on threat and use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of my country, and re-engage in what we all have committed to, fundamental principles of peaceful relations enshrined in the UN Charter. We demand from Russia to cancel the decision on recognition and return to the table of negotiations. We condemn the order.
All right, there you go. Not sure his name or position, to be perfectly honest with you, but he's obviously a member of Ukraine's government, and he is not happy. This is this emergency meeting of the UN, the Security Council there. I did see just for a second that they had Russia's people there as well. It'd be interesting to see a back and forth come from that, but we're not going to make you sit here and watch this all night long. But effectively, trying to get the UN to do something, the UN doesn't do much. It is one of the most feckless institutions I've ever seen, but they're going to talk about it, and they'll do probably nothing more than talk. We'll follow the story, of course. Coming up, last week, the Senate quietly defeated 2 measures that would have ended the Biden vaccine mandates. Our next guest says it happened with the coordinated help of GOP members. That's not good. That's coming up. And as Putin eyes Ukraine, many think China will consider a move on Taiwan, especially with the people we have in power. Gordon Chang joins us coming up on that.
I'm Mike Huckabee, former governor of Arkansas and 2016 presidential candidate. Like many of you, I've struggled to get a good night's sleep for most of my adult life. I wasted at least 2 hours a day of my life tossing and turning, trying to shut my mind down. Until about 2 years ago, that's when I saw an ad on TV for Relaxium Sleep. I decided to order it, and it literally changed my life. Developed by renowned neurologist and sleep expert Dr. Eric Ciliberti, Relaxium Sleep is clinically proven to help you fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up refreshed. Relaxium's exclusive triple action formula addresses 3 key factors that contribute to insomnia. I like that it's non-habit forming. It's made in the USA. There's simply nothing else like it. Relaxium Sleep comes with a 100% money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. In fact, they're so confident it'll work for you, they're giving away 1,000 bottles today. With Relaxium Sleep, I fall asleep as soon as my head hits the pillow. In the morning, my mind is sharp, and I've got energy that I enjoyed when I was younger. Both my wife and I have been paying customers of Relaxium Sleep for over 2 years now. And I know once you've experienced the amazing difference it can make in your life, you will be too. I trust my night to Relaxium Sleep. And so should you. Try Relaxium Sleep risk-free for 30 days. Use the promo code on your screen for free expedited shipping.
Call 800-837-1838 or visit tryrelaxium.com. That's 800-837-1838 or visit tryrelaxium.com. Fall asleep, stay asleep, wake refreshed with clinically proven Relaxium Sleep. Act now.
You'll be glad you did.
Trust United Relaxium Sleep.
Why is everyone talking about beets? They're nature's superfood secret. Total Beets from Force Factor help boost heart-healthy energy, support blood pressure, improve circulation, and increase nitric oxide. Rush to Walmart for great-tasting Total Beets from Force Factor, the #1 beets brand in America.
David McCormick's negative ads, paid for by his China profits and insider cronies.
But here's the truth. I'm an outsider, and I've taken on Washington and Fauci and the media for you.
I'm Dr. Oz, and I approve this message.
You deserve more from your steak. You deserve the only steak that's guaranteed to be perfect every single time. At Omaha Steaks, we're delivering old school quality with a now school mentality. That means aging every steak for tenderness, carefully hand carving, and obsessing over every last detail, so you never second guess a single bite. For a limited time, get 4 free chicken breasts and 4 free pork chops with your order. Go to omahasteaks.com/TV today. You deserve this.
Welcome back to Rob Schmitt Tonight. Last week, the Senate defeated 2 anti-mandate amendments, and they did it with help from the GOP. Senator Ted Cruz's amendment to prohibit federal funds to schools that enforce vaccine mandates for kids lost 49 to 44. How did that lose with the help of Republicans? But there they are. Susan Collins, Roy Blunt voting with Democrats. Burr, who's about done anyways. Lindsey Graham, Mitt Romney, and James Inhofe didn't even show up for the vote. Those four also helped sink Senator Mike Lee's amendment that would have prohibited funding for vaccine mandates. It would have prohibited funding for the mandates. And those four, again, did not show up. And that one was shot down by just one vote, we understand. So any one of those four show up and it's a different story. Our next guest says none of this would have been possible without the help and cooperation of Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. Congressman Chip Roy of Texas writing, word on the street, Senate GOP leadership was coordinating with Schumer and giving green light when votes could occur. Saying it was all staged. What you see is all a show. You will have to take back America yourselves. You cannot count on GOP leadership. Congressman Roy joins us now. Sir, thanks for coming on. What on earth is happening? Why would this be coordinated with the GOP?
Hey, Rob, thanks for having me on. And sorry, I'm from Del Rio, Texas, so I'm in a setting in the back of a restaurant at a Rudy's Barbecue, but happy to be down here with some of my colleagues.
Yeah.
But look, what happened last week was completely unacceptable. The American people are being very clear. They're over the idea of vaccine mandates, the government using its power to force people to get vaccinated or face losing their jobs. I had constituents coming to me in tears because they're losing their jobs. We ended up moving forward and having an amendment on a straight up or down vote on amendment because of the courage of Mike Lee, Ted Cruz, some of the others, to force the vote. And what happens with your Republican leadership? They allow 4 members to walk. 4 members not to be there. Senator Graham was gone. He was in Israel. Senator Burr, I don't know where he was. But most disturbingly, Senator Mitt Romney, Senator Jim Inhofe, they were actually physically in the building, voted to proceed to the bill, and then left, walked out on Mike Lee's amendment, and then it fails 47 to 46. There's no excuse for it. The Republican leadership had to know this was happening. And the rumor on the street is they were actually working and coordinating in the cloakroom, helping try to get the vote through so they could, quote, process the amendments, get done, and fly out of town. That's what the American people are sick of.
Do you think that do you think it's something like, Schumer and McConnell both know that if everybody had shown up that it wouldn't have passed anyway, so you can't cheat this way and bring your people here when my people aren't there? Obviously, Democrats weren't there as well, it sounds like. I mean, is this how incestuous this process is?
It could be that. It could be any number of factors. What we know is that we had the numbers. We could have gotten it passed. If they took a walk, and they took a walk because, I'm sorry, we've got a missing Democrat senator, then own that. Then tell the American people, we're not going to allow this to occur because we've got one Democratic senator who's missing for health reasons. But don't, in the dark of night, basically let Mitt Romney, Jim Inhofe walk away and then allow this to fail 47 to 46. It's not like it was 50 to 49. And by the way, when did Democrats ever play nice that way? No. I'm tired of my constituents have to get a needle stuck in their arm or lose their job. And Republicans walked away. And by the way, 19 Republicans, after that failed, still voted to fund the very government that is enforcing the mandates on the American people. They shouldn't have.
It's amazing. It really is amazing. And on something like that, something that is so clearly what we need to do seems to be so clear, and this party needs to stick together on something like that. That is, that's just disgusting. It's very frustrating, I'm sure, for somebody like you. I want to talk for a second about the border. We recently learned that the U.S. broke another record for illegal crossings last month, something to be proud of. RNC Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel revealing 500,000 illegal immigrants have escaped into the U.S. since Biden became president. 500,000. This situation's near and dear to you, of course, in Texas.
Yeah, no, it's a big deal. I'm in Del Rio, Texas. As I said, I'm down here with 4 of my Republican colleagues from the U.S. House. Great to have them down here, and 5 members of the Texas legislature. And we're going to be meeting with Border Patrol tomorrow. We're going to be meeting with ranchers. We're going to get an update of what's happening. Obviously, Del Rio is the location of the infamous incident, which was not really an incident, about the supposed whipping of Haitian migrants, which Mayorkas, the president, all assailed, which now they won't even get a report produced. The fact is, we've had probably 1.2 million people who were either released into the United States last year, or they came across and were, gotaways, and the best that we know it. 14,000 pounds of fentanyl. You know, I've been on your show before talking about this. I just spoke to a woman in the hotel where we checked in, and she said, thank you for being here. Thanks for coming down here and caring about our community, caring about our country. Look, there are Hispanic, conservative Democrats in South Texas who are sick of this administration.
All over.
And they recognize what's happening to their culture and their communities and our state. And Joe Biden is MIA. We're not going to be MIA. We're going to be right here.
Thank you for the fight, sir. Congressman Chip Roy, appreciate you coming on. Barbecue sounds great. Have a good night.
Thanks,
sir.
Rob. Take care.
Thank you. All right, coming up, why Putin's decision to take this Donbas region could make China reconsider some moves it wants to make with Taiwan. Plus,
paid in taxes, one of the richest people in the world? Zero.
Really stupid. Warren still pushing a demonstrable lie, and Elon Musk fires back. Wait till you see how much he paid in taxes. Later in News from the Left.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, CEO of MyPillow. Retailers, shopping channels, and now even banks have tried to cancel myself and MyPillow. During these times, your support has meant everything to us. My employees and I want to personally thank each and every one of you by passing the savings directly on to you. For example, you can get my Giza Dream bed sheets for as low as $39.99 a set. That's a savings of 60% and the lowest price in history. And remember, they're made with the world's best cotton, grown where the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River all meet. They come with my 10-year warranty, and I guarantee they'll be the most comfortable sheets you'll ever own. So go to MyPillow.com now and use the promo code on your screen, or call the 1-800 number below to get my Giza Dream bed sheets for as low as $39.99, the lowest price in history. If you do it right now, I'm also going to include a free gift with your purchase. Thank you and God bless.
Sacrifice. Surrendering your desires for the sake of someone else. Sometimes sacrifice is tedious. Sometimes it's rewarding. And sometimes it takes everything you've got.
I love you guys.
I love you too.
Be careful, son.
Sacrifice. Surrendering your desires for the sake of someone else. Sometimes it's tedious.
You're doing so great, son.
Sometimes it's rewarding.
Come on.
And sometimes it gives you back more than you could ever imagine. The sacrifice they made for our freedoms is priceless. Will you please join me in making a small sacrifice for them by supporting disabled American veterans? Call and give $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, to help a disabled veteran who sacrificed for you. There's never been a greater time to show your support for our nation's greatest heroes. Get this Memorial DAV blanket when you call and give just $19 a month as a reminder of the sacrifice our nation's greatest heroes have made for you. Your gift, no matter how small, helps veterans and their families get the benefits they need and deserve. Please call or go online now. If operators are busy, call again or give right away at helpdav.org. Your gift today honors their sacrifice forever.
Hello, this is Rachel at Cardholder Services,
We've
calling
been
in
trying
reference
to
to your
reach
current
you about
credit
your
card
car's
account.
extended
There are no
warranty.
problems currently with your account.
Sick of annoying spam calls? RoboKiller eliminates 99% of unwanted calls. Download RoboKiller today.
All right, welcome back. After strongly supporting Russia's standoff with the West over Ukraine, China is now reportedly starting to align its position closer to that of the United States. According to the Wall Street Journal, China has been offering more explicit warnings against a Russian invasion of Ukraine, within the recent days, showing an attempt to build a partnership with both the Kremlin while also preserving ties with the U.S. In a phone conversation with French President Emmanuel Macron, Xi Jinping called for a dialogue to resolve this conflict, indicating a desire not to push European countries further away. During the Munich Security Conference on Saturday, China's foreign minister echoing those remarks, saying the sovereignty, independence, and territorial integrity of any country should be respected and safeguarded. Ukraine is no exception, which is kind of a funny thing for China to say. For more on this, let's bring in Gordon Chang, author of The Great U.S.-China Tech War. There's the book right there. Gordon, good to see you again. What do you make of these comments and this realignment by China? I thought in this moment it would be a great moment for China to try and pull something on Taiwan.
Yes, well, there's a number of things going on. There are a number of Chinese officials who are really deeply concerned about what Putin is doing because Putin's move on Ukraine undercuts some very important Chinese foreign policy principles. So, for instance, they're worried about India claiming Tibet, and they could see the Indians doing to Tibet and China what Putin is doing to Ukraine. But on the other hand, though, China is actually in Putin's court. You know, we have the $117.5 billion in oil and gas deals. Those were announced on February 4th. And in the last couple of days, this 100 million metric tons of coal that China is going to buy from Russia. So China, in effect, is really financing Putin's move on Eastern Europe.
So what are your thoughts, the Taiwan situation? The Olympics is over. You've got all of this mess. I mean, they want to take this little island, right? I mean, do you see that happening?
It's really possible because even during the Olympics, on the second day, on February 5, China actually sent a Y-12 utility plane directly over a Taiwan island. And that is an act of war. So even during a period where China was supposed to be quiet, they were engaging in very belligerent activities. So now that the Olympics are over, you know, all bets are off and you can see them doing something, especially if they believe that Biden's response to Putin in Ukraine is feeble, which it looks like up to now. And that means that Beijing will be tempted to go after Taiwan, go after India, go after Japan, go after the Philippines. You get the idea.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. The China-Russia relationship, Gordon, has come to the closest point it's had since the early years of the Cold War. Putin, a guest of honor at the Winter Olympics. Xi has endorsed his opposition, Russia's opposition to any expansion of NATO as well. If these two countries ever, well, let's start off with this. Would these two countries ever fully align? Would they ever join forces in some kind of a move against the rest of the world?
I think so. And it's not just China and Russia. It's also their proxies. So we're talking about North Korea, Iran, Pakistan, maybe even Algeria. And that means that when you have conflict in one area, the others can take advantage of it. And that's how a global war starts.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've got to be extremely concerned about what Beijing might be tempted to do, especially during a period of general conflict in Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
So this is a point where the United States is going to have to be strong on several fronts at the same time. You know, people say, oh, we can't do that. Well, it's not like we have a choice. Right now, China and Russia can challenge us across a whole range of spectrums and also in space and other places.
Yeah. Real quick, I want to get to this last question just because I think it is important. This is, I think it was called the China Initiative, which was a Trump-era program aimed at fighting Chinese national security threats, the way that they steal our information. They want to get rid of it. It's being reported at the DOJ. They're looking to get rid of it because they think that it's, I don't know, led to some kind of, you know, unfair treatment of Asian Americans in this country. The FBI director, Christopher Wray, said the Bureau has more than 2,000 open investigations into efforts to steal American information and technology. It feels almost like a bit of a woke move to get rid of something that is probably doing some pretty heavy work against some bad acting of China in this country.
Yes, and China is promoting woke themes precisely because it says, look, if you criticize China, you are encouraging hate against Asian Americans.
Right.
So Beijing is fully taking advantage of this, and the FBI and the Biden administration are falling for it. So this is not a good story. There are no benign interpretations of what's going on here.
It's understandable. Boy, that is something else. Gordon Chang, always great to have you on, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rob.
Coming up, outrage from parents in California. Wait till you hear this story. They learn about the sleeping arrangements for their 5-year-old little girls at a school camping trip. Wait till you get to hear how they spent their nights in some of these cabins with the non-binary crowd very close by. Plus this.
You know how much he paid in taxes? One of the richest people in the world? Zero.
Oh, Elizabeth Warren spreading fake news. We'll give you Elon's real tax bill and his response next.
I'm Mike Huckabee, former governor of Arkansas and 2016 presidential candidate. Like many of you, I've struggled to get a good night's sleep until about 2 years ago. That's when I saw an ad on TV for Relaxium Sleep, and it literally changed my life. Developed by renowned neurologist Dr. Eric Ciliberti, Relaxium Sleep is clinically proven to help you fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up refreshed. Relaxium's triple action formula addresses 3 key factors that contribute to insomnia. With Relaxium Sleep, I fall asleep as soon as my head hits the pillow. I find I've got more energy and focus. They're so confident it'll work for you, they're giving away 1,000 bottles today. Call or log on right now and try Relaxium Sleep risk-free for 30 days. Use the promo code on your screen for free expedited shipping.
Call 800-431-5982 or visit tryrelaxium.com.
Trust Unite to Relaxium Sleep.
Newt Gingrich here for Home Title Lock with a warning to homeowners. The type of fraud you really need to worry about is home title fraud.
Anybody who owns property should worry about home title theft. There's no other crime that is so easy, so quick, and so lucrative.
Your home, your equity, and your peace of mind can all be stolen in one fell swoop by home title thieves like Matthew Cox.
Nobody thinks that I can take their house. Nobody thinks that.
Believe it or not, a single-page document is all it takes to transfer proof of ownership out of your name.
People think, well, there's a whole huge process, but the truth is, it's a one-page document.
But it still must get through one final barrier, the county clerk.
When someone comes in with a fraudulent deed, if it's notarized and all the spaces are filled in, we by statute have to accept it. We cannot give it back to them and say, we know this is fraudulent, we're not going to file it. That's against the law.
It's a false sense of security. It's not real.
Bottom line is, yes, it happens, and we can't stop it from happening.
Deborah thought she was protected from identity theft, but she wasn't, and it cost her her home.
In the end, the fraudulent papers were honored, and the police came and escorted us off the property.
For pennies a day, Home Title Lock will monitor your title nonstop, alerting you to suspicious activity.
If you can get a warning notice that this first step has happened, you can stop the rest.
Meet Terry. He signed up for Home Title Lock and was alerted to fraudulent activity.
So I received a report and saw, hey, I have a lien against my property that I didn't know about. We got it fixed right away.
Call right now and get our 60-day money-back guarantee and a home title scan for free to find out if your title's already been tampered with.
What would it do to your life if you lost your property?
Your home is a sacred place. Protect it. You'll be glad you did.
Go online or call now, 1-800-932-9230.
It can be easy to steal your identity. Now, it can be just as easy to help protect yourself. LifeLock helps detect identity threats. If there's a problem, we work to fix it. Go to lifelock.com.
Welcome back. Time now for news from the left. Parents in Los Alamitos, California, up in arms after learning about the sleeping arrangements at a school-organized science camp. 5th grade girls, about 10 years old, at Weaver Elementary School told their parents that male counselors at this camp in San Bernardino spent 3 nights sleeping in cabins with the young girls, all because they use they-them pronouns. Camp Pali is what it's called, P-A-L-I or Pali. The assistant director said in a statement, per California law, we place staff in cabins they identify with. You've got to be kidding me. Spokesman for the school district told KTLA they take all complaints and concerns seriously and are investigating. As expected, parents are furious.
It's awful that children had to even experience this in 5th grade camp. If I was aware of it and I had initialed something saying that this was going to be done at this outdoor science camp, I would have kept my child home.
All you got to do is say, hey, I'm a girl now, and I get to walk into the locker room wherever you want to go. Welcome to the Idiot Parade. It rolls on. Next up, an elementary school in Illinois blocking information about President Donald Trump for a school assignment. According to a video uploaded to social media, Woodland Intermediate School in Gurnee, Illinois, allowed kids to access a website with information on every single president except Trump. Take a look.
This is my daughter's classroom. They have a map of the presidents. You go to Donald Trump. It says this page is not allowed.
She goes on to click on other presidents and had all the information they needed. They're such wussies. It's amazing. Next up, Elizabeth Warren continuing her crusade against Elon Musk over the weekend, claiming the billionaire reportedly pays no taxes. Here she is on CNN.
For example, Elon Musk, 2018, we've actually seen his tax returns. You know how much he paid in taxes? One of the richest people in the world? Zero. And he's not the only one.
In December, Elon Musk announced he was set to pay more than $11 billion in taxes. $11 billion. Now, according to one website, ProPublica, Musk did pay zero federal taxes in 2018, but that was due to only the fact that he overpaid in 2017. Musk tweeting back, "We'll visit IRS next time I'm in D.C. just to say hi, since I paid the most taxes ever in history for an individual last year. Maybe I can have a cookie or something." Funny how much they hate the people that pay for everything, isn't it? Next up, Soros-funded progressive LA District Attorney George Gascon admitting a 2-year prison sentence that he ensured for a man who sexually assaulted a 10-year-old girl might not have been enough. Referring to the case of convicted molester Hannah Tubbs, a biological man who apparently identifies as a woman. Yeah, looks like it. Gascon, who faces an ongoing recall effort due to his idiotic policies, said in a statement, while for most people several years of jail time is adequate, it may not be for Ms. Tubbs. After her sentencing in our case, I became aware of extremely troubling statements she made about her case, the resolution of it, and the young girl that she harmed. She. Finally, another phony hate crime. A high school student has admitted to scrawling racist graffiti over 2 water fountains in her Sacramento school, prompting district officials to dub the incident a prank that went sideways. A student who has not been identified admitted to writing the words "colored and white" over 2 water fountains at McGlatchy High School, a reference to Jim Crow. An official telling the local TV station he doesn't regard it as racism, though. Why? Oh, because the student that did it is black. So it's not racist because the student's black. If a white student did that, I guarantee you it would be racist. But it just doesn't go the other way, I guess. All right, coming up, the very latest on this nice little invasion we have into Ukraine and the disaster that this administration has been in responding to it. What a rough day they had today, on President's Day, no less. It kind of goes in theme with everything we've seen for the last year. That's coming up next.
G-Defy. We believe in a better way and a better shoe. We believe that no one should be kept on the sidelines, so we focused on shoes designed to prevent and relieve pain, where your knees don't hurt, your back doesn't ache, and your feet don't throb. G-Defy. Technology so advanced it's clinically demonstrated to relieve pain, so you can live a more active life. Take them for a test run and feel the difference for yourself. gdefy.com/TV.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, CEO of MyPillow. Cancel culture has not only affected myself and MyPillow, but also millions of you out there. My employees and I want to personally thank each and every one of you for all your support. At MyPillow, we have hundreds of products now, including my new slippers, bathrobes, sleepwear, and my new beds. We are offering the best products ever for the best prices ever. For example, we have the standard size MyPillows, regularly $69.98, now only $19.98 with your promo code. Or you can get custom fit with my premium queen size MyPillows, regularly $79.98, now just $29.98. Or my king size, regularly $89.98, now just $34.98. So go to mypillow.com now and use the promo code on your screen or call the 1-800 number below to receive these exclusive offers. Thank you and God bless.
A lot of people say, thank you for your service.
When someone approaches me and says, thank you for your service, I say thank you. That means a lot, which it does.
But I think a lot of times people say that because they don't know what to say. I would much rather they say, who can I help?
We all have a duty to the bravest of our country. I'm Dan Nevins. I sacrificed my legs while serving in Iraq. But I'm so proud to speak now for the organization that has given me my life back.
Prior to Wounded Warrior Project, I was not in recovery.
You're protecting the people in your country. Pumps you up, makes you feel good. And then all of a sudden, it's all gone. It's all gone.
At Wounded Warrior Project, your gift of $19 a month provides free programs and services that can change a person's life forever.
I was shot 5 times. It took years to recover. Wounded Warrior Project has given me my ability to be a full-time dad again.
I really appreciate what they do for me. But Wounded Warrior Project, it's from the heart.
Please, join Wounded Warrior Project with your gift of just $19 a month. And when you call or go online at honorwarriors.org, we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
If you have been a donor to Wounded Warrior Project, you have helped countless veterans.
I wouldn't be here in front of you today. I give Wounded Warrior Project my life.
So if you see me and you really want to thank me for my service, donate to Wounded Warrior Project. I think that would be a great way to thank me for my service.
Please, call or go online right now.
All right, welcome back to Rob Schmitt Tonight. Finally tonight, let's take a look at the White House. We'll give you some live pictures. Not a lot going on there. They've had a very messy day today. And a live look real quick at Kiev, Ukraine. And pretty quiet there too. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning there in Kiev. So what did we see happen today? Well, Putin declared this Donbas region in eastern Ukraine as his own. And the White House that said that they would basically take any invasion of Ukraine very seriously and issue crippling sanctions on Russia, and the pipeline would be gone. Well, Russia just moved right into that Donbas area, Luhansk and Donetsk. My best Russian impression there. This is video purportedly showing the movement of probably, I would think, a lot of quote-unquote peacekeeping troops, also known as the freaking army, to go in and take over a part of a country. The invasion is happening. From everything that we understand, everything we hear from sources over there, from social media over there, and from our government is indicating that they have started to move into that area as well. And yet, there have been no sanctions, and the White House is basically saying, oh, this is nothing new. This was already happening for 8 years, since 2014. So this is not really an invasion. So we are leading with some tremendous weakness right now. And whether or not you think you care about Ukraine, I don't care if you care about Ukraine or not, but you should care about the foolishness that's leading this country. And boy, do we have plenty of that. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, welcome to Greg Kelly Reports. I'm Carl Higby, filling in for Greg tonight. Don't worry, he'll be back tomorrow. You can usually catch me on Saturday and Sunday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern, but let's get to it. Now, if you look at history in the wake of every major dictatorship, the question is always, how did the populations let their government get so much power? Many times, not even taken by force. Historians are always baffled by why would people allow the government to take away basic rights? I mean, many times, they give them up willingly. Well, the answer is threefold, and we're going to go into it. Even when on the verge of tyranny, most people don't even want to acknowledge it. First, the most common and less obvious, it's little by little. This is how to do it. Democrats do this all the time. They take guns, for instance. You know the argument where they say, oh, crazy gun restrictions. They push for like outlandish stuff that would never be palatable under the Second Amendment. Then they say, oh, Republicans won't even compromise and give a little. With the media jumping to their defense, writing things like, admit it, Republicans, you don't care about how many Americans are killed by guns. And Republicans are braving announcing plans to do nothing to stop mass shootings. And before you know it, Republicans cave and they give a little. And you have things like the Brady bill that banned 30-round magazines and AR-15s for years. More recently, why do you need a bump stock? Even Trump caved on this. The proper answer is, why do I need a bump stock? Because it's America, and I don't have to answer that question. But nope, Republicans caved. Each time, every government gets a little bit more control, and you lose a little bit more of your liberty. It's called creeping gradualism. Now, the second is through fear or, desperation. For the greater good, is what they always say. The most glaring example of this worldwide is COVID. Governments around the world had this knee-jerk reaction, telling people that if they didn't go along with what the experts said, who, by the way, are all wrong now, that everyone would die. Even just 1 month ago, they were carrying this charade on. The President of the United States trying to stoke fear into Americans to get the vaccine, or else it'd be a winter of death, or whatever he said. I mean, it's unbelievable.
For unvaccinated, we are looking at a winter of severe illness and death for unvaccinated. For themselves, their families, and the hospitals they'll soon overwhelm.
Yep, that didn't happen, and they have no scientific data to support their conclusions, but they shut down your business, changed election processes, forced you to cover your face, and even had to take a vaccine that had no long-term testing that doesn't even stop you from spreading the virus or getting it. It has less protection than natural immunity itself. Even Bill Gates said that. And for the most part, at least for the first year or so, people marched willingly along with it out of fear. See how that works? Now, the third stage, when you can't do the other two, is much of what we are seeing in Canada right now. Force. Think about that. In this case, under the guise of an emergency, when the people's will, i.e. the truckers whose rights, their rights to protest are supported by the Canadian Charter, which is like the Constitution of Canada, when those freedoms impede the agenda of, in this case, Trudeau, he suspended conventional law and freedom under the guise of an emergency to impose his agenda, justifying force using the Emergencies Act for the first time since its creation. He didn't stop there. He instructed the police force to go after these protesters, and the Ottawa police chief even admitted that they're going to go after anyone who was even present on the streets of Ottawa with every resource of the state.
If you are involved in this protest, we will actively look to identify you and follow up with financial sanctions and criminal charges. Absolutely. This investigation will go on for months to come. It has many, many different streams, both from a federal financial level, from a provincial licensing level, from a criminal code level. You have my commitment that that investigation will continue, and we will hold people accountable for taking our streets over.
All the while, the media is largely trying to convince us that these truckers fighting against tyrannical Trudeau are actually the evil terrorist ones. Now, most Americans are seeing right through this fake news, and we can see what's going on here. The majority of U.S. voters support the truckers in Canada, a small, promising sign that we haven't totally lost the culture war here this side of the border. But this is happening here in America, too, on a much smaller scale, obviously. But think about it. Has our government unilaterally declared an emergency order to suspend constitutional rights, circumventing law and consolidating power that is otherwise expressly prohibited? Yep, they have. Scares you, doesn't it? You are probably thinking, wow, well, what mechanism do we have to stop the government from declaring an emergency anytime they want to take more control? This is what the Canadian truckers are warning us about and why they are doing what they are doing right now. The Huffington Post of all publications, literally warned us that Trudeau might actually do something like this in 2014, and Canadians still let it happen. Look at this. The first paragraph of this article, like a prophecy, the leader of that party does what he wants, when he wants, and no one dares question him. Would Prime Minister Trudeau arbitrarily whip the vote and outlaw certain moral questions? Could Prime Minister Trudeau be trusted to make decisions for the good of the country, not just for personal self-worth? Would Trudeau call in the police to enforce his vision? Let's hope he never has the opportunity to ask those questions, end quote. Wow. Would he use the police to enforce his visions? Well, fast forward 8 years, and here we are, police enforcing his vision, trampling protesters with horses. These people were otherwise lawful until Trudeau granted himself more power under an emergency act that has literally never been used before. Do you see how fast that happened? Folks, what we're seeing in Canada is really only a few months ahead of what is likely coming to the U.S. without a massive policy change. And you see how fast we went from like 14 days to flatten the curve? Do it for grandma. It's just a mask or whatever. Now it's arresting peaceful demonstrators, seizing bank accounts, seizing their property, and even taking their pets. They're taking people's dogs, folks, using facial recognition and financial hacking software to penalize people for supporting any opposing views to Trudeau in any way, using the emergency power that he self-declared to force private business to tow fellow truckers against their will or face criminal charges. Wow. Folks, this is how dictatorships happen. This is how every major dictator in the history of ever has always started. And thank God, some of the people of Canada have had enough.
Are you prepared to lose your truck?
Yeah, absolutely. Come take my truck, do whatever you got to do. That's fine. Well, because it's just a material possession, right? Freedom is something much more than that. So take my possessions, put me in jail, sue me, do whatever you got to do.
Boom. Boom. You know what? God bless that guy for being out in a t-shirt in 5-degree weather, too. But what is crazy still is in poll after poll, Canadians are largely still totally fine with a vaccine mandate, which is bizarre to me. Why can't it be a choice? Because if you allow this mandate, and listen carefully here, folks, if you allow this mandate, something as sacred as being forced to inject something into your own body against your will, what's to stop the next mandate? Perhaps it's something you might not agree with next time. But the precedent's been set. You don't have any legal recourse anymore. This trucker protest is the people's recourse against all government overreach, not just the vaccine mandate. This is an attempt of the people to reverse the expansion of the rule of government in Canada. In America, we have, thankfully, a better system. And you know what? You want to know how I know it's better? You know what the cure for COVID actually was, folks? The midterms, the polls. Seriously. It wasn't the science or the vaccine. It was our system that caused even blue states to roll back draconian mandates, but we had to fight for it. We had to get loud. And I will bet you, I'm betting you right here tonight on Greg's program, that Joe Biden, in the State of the Union address, he's going to claim that he beat COVID. He's going to claim success. Not because the science or the cases or the actual virus changed at all. No. But because the threat of his party getting thrown out of power for overstepping is very, very, very real. Because we got loud, because we stood up for our rights like Canada's doing right now. Don't be fooled, though. Folks, remember who shut down your businesses, who forced you to vaccinate, who took away your choice to be able to provide for your family if you didn't bow to their will. Remember that in every election. And you know what? Teach your kids about it, too. And if you do, Republicans will win every election for the next 100 years. But the second you forget, and trust me, the left is counting on you forgetting. If you give 1 inch, the Democrats will take a mile. Remember that. Hold the line. We're joined now by Congressman Greg Steube, Republican of the great state of Florida and a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Congressman, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right. So before we get back to Canada and the tyrannical Trudeau, we actually do have some late-breaking developments. Russian President Vladimir Putin signed decrees ordering military forces into 2 separatist regions of Ukraine for, quote, peacekeeping purposes, I'm sure that is. But as Moscow recognizes breakaway regions and independence, the United Nations made a statement on Putin's recognition of the breakaway separatist regions in eastern Ukraine.
The Secretary General is greatly concerned by the decision by the Russian Federation related to the status of certain areas of Donetsk and Luhansk regions of Ukraine. He calls for the peaceful settlement of the conflict in eastern Ukraine in accordance with the Minsk Agreement, as endorsed by the Security Council in 2015. The Secretary General considers the decision of the Russian Federation to be a violation of the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Ukraine, and inconsistent with the principles of the Charter of the United Nations.
So, Congressman, before we get on to Canada and freedom talk, we're seeing these unconfirmed videos from Russia already crossing geographical borders. Russian forces obviously breaking into these areas. We hear martial law might be instituted by Ukraine. Are you hearing anything in D.C. about this right now, sir?
No, that's what we're hearing. And the Biden administration's response to this is, well, let's sanction that portion of eastern Ukraine, not sanction the Russians. Like, we are where we are today because they lifted Trump-era sanctions on the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. By lifting those sanctions, the Biden administration opened up billions upon billions of dollars of revenue straight to Moscow. And so that allowed them to build up their military and allowed an opening of resources directly to them. And now the Russians have gone into eastern Ukraine. We have confirmation of that. And the Biden administration's response to that is, let's sanction eastern Ukraine. Not the Russians. Why aren't we sanctioning Russia?
Well, I'm going to talk about later in the program of why we're not respected on the global stage anymore, but I want to get to Canada with you. All right, you're like 1,500 miles away from them down in Florida, but Canada is basically turning into a totalitarian state. I mean, before our eyes, and people are largely, aside from the truckers, the majority of Canada does not support these trucker protests. Can you think of a single reason why?
Well, the great thing that this has started to come to the United States because the Biden administration tried to put the vaccine mandates on employees and employers and all of that. And thankfully, in this country, we have a United States Supreme Court, thankful to President Trump, who had 3 appointments that had a little bit of constitutional clarity to realize that the administration, through OSHA, could not mandate vaccines through private companies. So thankfully, we're not where we are. But that didn't stop the Biden administration, the Democrats, from attempting to get there. Otherwise, we'd look just like Canada right now.
Yeah, I mean, last week we saw mounted police trampling protesters. And they're saying, the Ottawa police came out with a tweet that says, like, oh, we were just holding the line. No, they were pushing the line back. In what world is this okay?
Well, and none of these people were armed. These are citizens of Canada who are standing up for their freedoms and their rights, and Trudeau is sending in police to shut them down. I mean, if this doesn't make Americans very concerned for the future of our country, especially if Democrats continue to have control and we don't take the House back in the midterms, just like you said in your monologue before I came on, these type of policies are moving slowly into the United States. And the Biden administration has already attempted, and thankfully the Supreme Court shut him down. But that doesn't mean they're not going to continue to try. Yeah, no,
but that's the problem is, like, we have certain laws and we have the Constitution, they have the Canadian Charter. And if you can just call out an emergency, like make up an emergency, and then use that to circumvent this, what's to stop anybody from calling an emergency whenever politically convenient?
Well, and that's what the Biden administration tried to do with the employer vaccine mandate through OSHA. They used OSHA, the agency, to say, hey, this is emergency. You have to force vaccines on anybody that has a company than 100 or more. So they attempted the same thing. And thankfully, we had a court that shut it down, and you haven't heard a lot of that yet. But still, you have this State of the Union coming up, and the floor of the House of Representatives still has a mask mandate, despite the D.C. metro area now lifted their max vaccine mandate. They lifted their max mandate. But the floor of the House of Representatives, run by Speaker Pelosi, will be the last place in this country that will lift the mask mandate.
Congressman Greg Steube, we appreciate you taking the time tonight, sir.
Thanks for having me.
All right, coming up, what the Biden administration is threatening to do if Russia invades Ukraine, and, well, Ukraine President Zelensky wasn't exactly happy with it. Next.
Federal agencies urge every family to have an emergency radio. During any disaster, electrical power may get cut. The emergency radio gives you the vital information you need. Newsmax wants you to have the Dynamo Emergency Band Radio. It doesn't need batteries and works in any emergencies. It retails for $30. You can get it with the free offer. Call or go online and get the emergency radio today. Your life may depend on it.
Do you feel like the way you clean your ears at home doesn't work well enough? I felt the same way, but then I tried the WaxRx ear wash system. WaxRx was designed by a doctor, and it's the same system used in medical clinics. The reusable WaxRx system has everything you need to effectively remove earwax at home without the inconvenience of a doctor's visit.
You should use the doctor-trusted WaxRx ear wash system. You can get it now at Walgreens and Walmart today.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, CEO of MyPillow. Retailers, shopping channels, and now even banks have tried to cancel myself and MyPillow. During these times, your support has meant everything to us. My employees and I want to personally thank each and every one of you by passing the savings directly on to you. For example, you can get my Giza Dream bed sheets for as low as $39.99 a set. That's a savings of 60% and the lowest price in history. And remember, they're made with the world's best cotton, grown where the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River all meet. They come with my 10-year warranty, and I guarantee they'll be the most comfortable sheets you'll ever own. So go to MyPillow.com now and use the promo code on your screen or call the 1-800 number below to get my Giza Dream bed sheets for as low as $39.99, the lowest price in history. If you do it right now, I'm also going to include a free gift with your purchase. Thank you and God bless.
There's a clear and present danger in neighborhoods like this. It's deadly fentanyl and it's killing our kids. How's it getting here?
Right here, through our border. That's why Governor Abbott deployed the National Guard to assist law enforcement at the border. He's given us new authority to arrest trespassers and has increased jail capacity to handle criminal arrests. Joe Biden should be securing this border, but he won't.
That's why Governor Abbott is getting the job done.
We all know there are days, mountains to climb and battles to face. And all we ever have is one another. So let's promise this, never give up on each other. Never give up, never give up on each other.
All right, so we have some new developments in the Russia-Ukraine crisis right now. The White House releasing a statement that President Biden strongly condemned Russian President Putin's decision to purportedly recognize the independence of the so-called DNR and LNR regions of Ukraine. Now, he updated President Zelensky on the United States response, including our plan to issue sanctions. Now, a new unconfirmed video Russian separatist media channels are purporting to show Russian forces already crossing into breakaway republics in the violation of the Minsk agreements. So it appears Biden hasn't learned a thing from history, or at least he can't remember that it was not only his failure, but did General Lloyd Austin's failure in withdrawing troops back in Iraq in 2011? Well, here's Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin on ABC News this Sunday, painting a very clear picture of what a Russian invasion might look like.
This is not a bluff.
I don't believe it's a bluff. I think it's I think he's assembled the right the kinds of things that you would need to conduct a successful invasion.
Would we see tanks rolling into Kyiv?
Well, you could see that. I mean, that's highly likely. You could see that. You could see a significant amount of combat power move very quickly down to take Kyiv. So in terms of the types of things that could happen, one only need to look at what's on the other side of the Ukrainian border.
This guy has no idea whatsoever. And that's the scary part. I mean, sadly, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin and this administration, they have displayed the same incompetence that they did with the botched diplomacy that the Iraq, obviously ISIS took over Iraq, and then again in Afghanistan. Joining me now to discuss this is former FBI agent and fellow team guy, John Gillum. John, appreciate you joining us.
You got it, my friend.
All right, so this is, to me, is bad. Like, look, everybody knows that Joe Biden is a bit of a dumpster fire, okay? However, the people advising him are way worse. So Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, I mean, he doesn't have a good track record. He screwed up Iraq. He was the architect of that. In fact, that's why Joe Biden said he hired him. Screwed up Afghanistan, and now he's in charge of potentially a war with a nuclear power.
So, Carl, I want to challenge you and everybody else to look at this differently. You know, you and I, when we look at things, we look at whatever is going to bring mission success, standard operating procedures. We look at the best way to do something, and then that's what we focus on. But I want to challenge you to think that these individuals, in the case of Iraq and now in the case of what's happening in the Ukraine, that they are getting exactly what they want. They did not want they didn't really care, nor did they want full success in Iraq, because it could have been obtained.
Right.
They didn't want it. They rushed out of there. And
That's even scarier.
That's even scarier, and I do believe that this is what we're looking at, because now, you know, when Lloyd Austin was talking there, he was somebody who is trying to recollect. You could see the way he was looking up, and he's looking up because he's trying to create an image for you and for the rest of us out there, so that we can understand what the picture is that they're going to paint, what the pictures that they want. And then the fact that he's smirking at the end of that, to me, is very troubling, because it does not signify somebody who is serious about what's happening, that the issue is serious, and it does not look like he wants anything except for what the picture is that he just painted when he's looking up like that to recollect.
Well, speaking of people who are not serious, here's Vice President Harris with Western leaders at a security conference in Munich this Saturday. Listen to this.
We have prepared together economic measures that will be swift, severe, and united. We will impose far-reaching financial sanctions and export controls.
Oh, they've prepared them. All right, they're sitting on a napkin somewhere in Joe Biden's night table. I mean, like, what is the point of, and Zelensky made this point the other day too, like, what is the point of having sanctions after they've already done everything the sanctions were supposed to prevent in the first place?
Carl, you have to realize she's reading what she's saying, right? That's not something that she's making up from her own expertise. That's clear buffoonery that has been written by people that are paid by our taxpayer money that work in the White House, okay? So that is what is scary. The other thing is, do they really think before, during, or after the fact that sanctioning Russia is going to change anything? This is not a third world country. And Putin is not a third world leader. He's a trained KGB agent who could care less about these sanctions. That superpower will stand on its own regardless of what the other leftist ran governments think.
Well, you know, I'm glad you brought up the fact that he's a KGB operative, former KGB operative. Well, I don't know if you're ever really former in that. But at the same time, John, my problem here is he is playing this like a fiddle. We stopped oil production. They're pumping more oil out. Oil is almost $100 a barrel. He doesn't care if there's sanctions, to your point. He's making a ton of money off that. They have the same size economy as like the state of Texas. So it's not like there's some huge worldly economy. The other thing, too, is going back to the KGB thing, do you think, and this is my kind of take on this thing, is, okay, do you think Putin's like slowly leaking battle plans to different units to kind of flush out sources that we have, and that's why we keep getting it wrong?
I think Putin is so far ahead of what everybody else is doing, and the way that he is playing this is masterful, in that he is causing the rest of this group, I don't want to call them allies or the rest of the world, it's certainly not the rest of the world, he's causing them to react. So he's actually doing things and saying things that are going to cause us to maneuver. Whereas it doesn't appear to me that military or any of our other intelligence is working to forward think what Putin may be doing. And the other thing is, we say everything. We say everything what we're going to do. So he doesn't really have to think. And I think, Carl, it's so conspiratorial to say these things, but I don't know what side that Lloyd Austin and Biden and all these other people, I have no clue what side they're playing on this, because it's certainly not in the best interest of the Ukrainian people.
Yeah, but you know what? Going back to the conspiratorial side, like, you and I were conspiracy theorists for mentioning the fact that natural immunity in COVID was a bad thing. But, you know, here we are. It turns out to be the science. So Jonathan Gilliam, the author of Sheep No More, great, fantastic book. Folks, by the way, pick it up. John, appreciate you joining me.
You got it, brother. Thank you for having me.
Talk soon. All right, coming up, how the Biden administration is doing everything they can to raise the price of gas and energy, and the details on that are going to be next.
Looking to get back in your type 2 diabetes zone? Once weekly Ozempic can help. Ozempic is proven to lower A1C. Most people who took Ozempic reached an A1C under 7 and maintained it. And you may lose weight. Adults lost on average up to 12 pounds. In adults also with known heart disease, Ozempic lowers the risk of major cardiovascular events such as heart attack, stroke, or death.
Ozempic helped me get back in my type 2 diabetes zone.
Ozempic isn't for people with type 1 diabetes. Don't share needles or pens or reuse needles. Don't take Ozempic if you or your family ever had medullary thyroid cancer or have multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2 or if allergic to it. Stop Ozempic and get medical help right away if you get a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, or an allergic reaction. Serious side effects may include pancreatitis. Tell your provider about vision problems or changes. Taking Ozempic with a sulfonylurea or insulin may increase low blood sugar risk. Side effects like nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea may lead to dehydration, which may worsen kidney problems.
Looking to get back in your type 2 diabetes zone? Ask your healthcare provider today about once-weekly Ozempic.
You may pay as little as $25 for a 3-month prescription.
Today, we launched Goya Cares. The mission of Goya Cares is to love and care for God's precious children. Part of that mission is to bring awareness.
Be somebody to somebody.
To stop the abuse and trafficking of future generations.
With awareness comes prevention.
Every life is a precious gift from God.
You are what?
I'm a precious gift from God.
I'm a precious gift from
I'm a precious gift from God. I'm a precious gift from God.
I'm a precious gift from
Soy un
God.
regalo de Dios.
I'm a precious gift from God.
We will do this through a series of educational videos
That we can bring to community leaders, schools, parents, and children.
Even though the subject matter is very dark and heavy, the kindness on this set has radiated throughout the project.
This is going to bring a global call to action.
Goya Cares.
Hopefully we can save people's lives.
And be the light that blocks
We
traffic.
need to be God's light.
Join Goya Cares and visit blocktraffic.org to watch the series.
Allergens, droplets, dust, dangers to your breathing. Get My Pure Mist Ultra Pure Steam Inhaler. Boom, it's on. Germs destroyed, just pure effective steam. Happy sinuses. Whoa, breathing again. My Pure Mist, do it.
Well, this isn't going to work.
Try this.
This will work.
Score! Pick up Score at Walmart.
So many people are overweight now and asking themselves, why can't I lose weight? For most, the reason is insulin resistance, and they don't even know they have it. Conventional starvation diets don't address insulin resistance. That's why they don't work. Now there's Golo. Golo helps with insulin resistance, getting rid of sugar cravings, helps control stress and emotional eating, and losing weight. Go to Golo.com and see how Golo can change your life. That's GOLO.com.
All right, so we have some new developments with the Russia-Ukraine crisis. The White House has released a statement regarding Putin's recognition of a breakaway regions in eastern Ukraine. President Biden strongly condemned President Vladimir Putin's decision to purportedly recognize the, quote, independence of the so-called DNR and LNR regions of Ukraine. He also updated President Zelensky to the United States response, including our plan to issue sanctions. Now, some unconfirmed video also coming out from the Russian media claims to show Russian trucks towing artillery into the Donbas region of occupied Ukraine, already crossing into the breakaway republics, which could be a violation of the Minsk agreements. With other uncertainty in the world, one thing is certain. Every day, America is spending more and more on gas and energy. And of course, inflation and turmoil. And in Eastern Europe, it isn't helping. But if you see Team Biden isn't really doing anything they can to make it less expensive, they're certainly not working to put out more oil here in America. The Biden administration to delay oil and gas leasing amid legal appeal. Weird. Well, a Trump-appointed judge has blocked the Biden administration's method of calculating the, quote, social costs associated with greenhouse gases, arguing that these estimates artificially increase the cost estimates of lease and sales. Senior columnist for the Town Hall, Kurt Schlichter, joins me now. Kurt, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Oh, so, all right, you seem like a perfect guy for this. Biden seems like he's doing everything he can to make everything more expensive or even not available on the shelves at all. I mean, like, at one point, you must think, like, here's Joe Biden sitting there at the table like, gee, guys, energy costs are rising. How can we fix this? Well, President Biden, I think, you know what we should do? We should probably stop oil production here in America. I mean, like, what is he thinking?
Well, look, you're operating under the premise that Biden is looking to achieve prosperity and freedom for the country. The reality is he's looking to increase the power of his left-wing friends, and one of the ways they do that is by
or his son.
or his son. Well, he is Mr. 10%. Yeah. It is one of the ways is to make sacrifices to the great climate goddess in the climate change hoax. Yeah. And that's, I mean, his left-wing people want to destroy the American energy industry. Ironically, making a field day for Vladimir Putin, who's now got $100 a barrel gas, while Americans who were energy independent a year ago no longer are.
Right.
But, people are like, well, that's crazy. It's only crazy if you believe that his goal is prosperity and freedom for Americans.
Yeah.
It's not. It's power for him and money for his friends.
But is that too much to expect from an American president? I mean, gee.
Well, no, it isn't. But, there are a lot of people out there who are very upset that Donald Trump said mean things about Rosie O'Donnell on Twitter. Mm-hmm. And when they're paying $6 a gallon gas, which I saw the other day in Los Angeles, I hope they look at that and go, well, it's expensive, but at least Rosie O'Donnell's feelings aren't hurt. The problem is we have an essentially unserious country. We now have an unserious military, and we absolutely have an unserious president. Yeah. He started out stupid, and then he got senile. It's like he began in a hole, and his idea was, instead of climbing out, was to start digging. He's a failure on every level. Yeah. He's a disgrace. He's literally going to be one of the 2 or 3 worst presidents in the history of the United States. I hope he doesn't. I hope he's not as bad as James Buchanan.
Right. But I mean, look who we got in the dugout. We got Kamala Harris, who Dick Cheney literally shot someone in the face, and his approval ratings were higher than hers. So you can't make this stuff up. All right, so I want to talk about mask hypocrisy, because I'm like really hot on this topic. You're laughing about this one. You're about to laugh harder. A Virginia school board chairwoman who berated parents for challenging mask mandates, by the way, well, she was caught posing maskless in a crowd of people and then got called out. Watch.
Ms. Cass, you also yelled at me the last time I was here for taking off my mask, but here's a picture of you right here on Facebook with a crowd of people.
That's it.
With no mask on. This is my time, and I don't interrupt you. Here's another picture with you with a no mask on.
I'm sorry, Ms. Vaught, you are done. If you are going to sit there and disparage a member of our school board, then you can sit down. If you have something effective to say.
I have facts and truth on my side.
I am not going to sit here.
This isn't about you anymore. It's about
Can we have a police officer, please? I'm done.
Time is up.
She leaves or I leave.
Yeah, so,
what,
I mean.
Is she in Canada?
That's what no, they weren't on horseback.
I mean, literally, you have an elected official saying, I'm going to send a policeman at you for saying mean things about me.
No, not even that. For pulling up her public profile of Facebook, that person, that school board person posted herself.
Carl, I don't care if she was doing interpretive dance. That is an American citizen standing in front of a subordinate.
Right.
The chain of command is God, American citizen, politicians. That's the chain of command. And apparently some of the people have forgotten that chain of command. Yeah. But you and I understand chain of command, and we need to make these hacks understand it. The utter disgrace of an American politician threatening to send a person with a gun at an American citizen who is criticizing that politician is almost too much to handle. A lot of guys who you knew, and some that I knew, have been hurt or died for that right. So this isn't just funny.
You're 100%
this is an attack
right.
This is an attack on the premise of what it means to be a citizen.
Everything.
That government official is a subordinate. That government official works for that woman. That government official owes that woman an explanation and a respectful hearing.
You have nailed it, and I appreciate it, but unfortunately we're out of time. I got to go. Kurt Schlichter, appreciate you being here, sir. We could go on all day.
All day.
All right.
Hope to see you at CPAC.
Yeah, man. All right, folks. Mr. Know-It-All, Bill Gates chimed in over the weekend about the Omicron variant. We're going to talk about what he has to say and bring it to a real medical expert on all the facts after the break.
I'm Mike Huckabee, former governor of Arkansas and 2016 presidential candidate. Like many of you, I've struggled to get a good night's sleep for most of my adult life. I wasted at least 2 hours a day of my life tossing and turning, trying to shut my mind down. Until about 2 years ago, that's when I saw an ad on TV for Relaxium Sleep. I decided to order it, and it literally changed my life. Developed by renowned neurologist and sleep expert Dr. Eric Siliberti, Relaxium Sleep is clinically proven to help you fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up refreshed. Relaxium's exclusive triple action formula addresses 3 key factors that contribute to insomnia. I like that it's non-habit forming. It's made in the USA. There's simply nothing else like it. Relaxium Sleep comes with a 100% money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. In fact, they're so confident it'll work for you, they're giving away 1,000 bottles today. With Relaxium Sleep, I fall asleep as soon as my head hits the pillow. In the morning, my mind is sharp, and I've got energy that I enjoyed when I was younger. Both my wife and I have been paying customers of Relaxium Sleep for over 2 years now. And I know once you've experienced the amazing difference it can make in your life, you will be too. I trust my night to Relaxium Sleep. And so should you. Try Relaxium Sleep risk-free for 30 days. Use the promo code on your screen for free expedited shipping.
Call 800-837-1838 or visit tryrelaxium.com. That's 800-837-1838 or visit tryrelaxium.com. Fall asleep, stay asleep, wake refreshed with clinically proven Relaxium Sleep. Act now.
You'll be glad you did.
Trust your night to Relaxium Sleep.
Are prostate concerns keeping you awake? Force Factor Prostate helps reduce nighttime bathroom trips and promote a normal prostate size. I feel like myself again. Rush to Walmart for Force Factor Prostate from the #1 fastest growing men's health brand in America.
Plain aspirin could be hurting your stomach. Basilor 325 liquid-filled aspirin capsule is clinically shown in a 7-day study to cause fewer ulcers than immediate-release aspirin. Basilor, the first liquid-filled aspirin capsules. Amazing.
I'm Mark, and I live in Vero Beach, Florida. My wife and I have 3 children. Ruth Ann and I like to hike. We eat healthy, we exercise. I noticed I wasn't as sharp as I used to be. My wife introduced me to Prevagen, so I said, yeah, I'll try it out. I noticed that I felt sharper. I felt like I was able to respond to things quicker. And I thought, yeah, it works for me.
Prevagen, healthier brain, better life.
Having trouble getting out of a timeshare? Turn to Lone Star Transfer. We've helped more than 14,000 happy customers stop all liability of a timeshare contract. Call today for a free, no-obligation consultation.
Sadly, the virus itself, particularly the variant called Omicron, is a type of vaccine. That is, it creates both B-cell and T-cell immunity.
So why did all these people have to lose their jobs, get kicked out of the military, not allowed to get a cheeseburger in Manhattan? Unbelievable. Well, here to answer that is professor at Stanford School of Medicine, Dr. Jay Bhattacharya. Doctor, appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, pleasure to be here.
Okay, so Mr. Vaccine himself, Bill Gates, has basically been out there selling this. He's invested heavily in a lot of these things. So what the hell did we lose our minds for the vaccine?
Well, I think the vaccine is effective for preventing severe disease, right? So if we had used this vaccine and had deployed it in a way that's like reasonable, right, we could have convinced basically almost every elderly person in the country and in the world to be vaccinated by now. And we would have seen much less death and severe outcomes from the disease. Instead, we used it to split society apart, to force people who are already COVID recovered to get it or lose their jobs, essentially demonize a whole class of people and say, look, no, you're second-class citizens. You're not allowed to come into museums or libraries or restaurants if you haven't got the vaccine. All of that basically, I think, fueled a group of people saying, look, I don't want this. It doesn't make any sense to me. Mm-hmm. So I think Bill Gates is part of the problem here. He I mean, I think it's not unreasonable to say we should have vaccinated the older population. I think that's really the right thing to do. But every tactic we used was designed to create vaccine hesitancy, and I'm afraid that's what's happened.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is there's a lot of people like myself who are not vaccinated. I choose not to be. I'm not against it. Like, you want to get vaccinated? Sure, fine, go ahead. Doesn't matter to me. I mean, I think it should be that optional, thing this was once known as freedom here in America. But I want to get to the big part here, which is the ongoing battle of masking our kids in school. We were just talking about it earlier in the show. Our school boards they're just defiant. Are they defiant because they don't want to admit they're wrong, or there's some hidden double secret probation science that only great people on the Board of Ed holders know about?
I mean, there is no randomized study at all on whether masking children in schools has any effect whatsoever on slowing disease spread. And there's lots of like real-world evidence that suggests that not all that effective. There's lots of good evidence from early in the pandemic, even before the vaccines, that children are not actually particularly efficient spreaders of the disease. It's not like other viruses where children actually are more likely to spread than adults. Here you have children that are less likely to spread than adults, all else equal, and the mandates themselves don't seem to be very effective. Children don't wear masks all that effectively. Right. I mean, and why would you expect them to? They're children. I mean, just look at that cute picture with the kid holding their nose. I mean, I think it was almost like we decided to put our anxieties, our adult anxieties, on our children, and I don't think that makes any sense.
But then that's the thing too, is like basically like everywhere. I live in Connecticut. They unmasked everybody else everywhere else, but yet me and a couple other parents just fought this massive battle to get the mask off our kids, and they fought us at every turn. And I'm like, guys, these are not vectors of the spread of this. There's no transmission, any significant data to point out any reason that shutting down our schools, masking, stupid plastic dividers did absolutely anything to, I mean, at some point you have to know like what is the vector of transmission amongst kids?
I mean, the disease spreads almost no matter what we do, especially when we take on things that don't have very good scientific evidence behind them, including things like, I mean, the plastic shields are just, I think there's evidence that actually helps spread the disease. So I think the problem was everyone wanted to protect themselves or protect others from this, and rather than saying, okay, what actually works, we latched on to things that were visible that could work, as opposed to things that were less visible that might have worked better. The key was protecting older people who die at such higher rates from the disease. We should have adopted much better policies to protect older people. Instead, we made the lives of children miserable, and still older people got infected.
It's like the mask is the rabbit foot for the left. They just need something like tangible that they can say, see, we're doing something. Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, we appreciate you joining us, Doctor.
Thank you.
All right, next. The fake news rooted and rallied for all Biden throughout all the campaign. Nearly a year and a month into his presidency, there's a change in tune, though. We're going to talk about that after the break.
Before I lost the weight, I definitely wasn't feeling like myself. Mentally, it was a difficult time for me.
The picture showed this huge guy, and I'm like, oh my God, is that me?
Having to ask for seatbelt extenders, that's pretty embarrassing.
Now is the time for you to try Nutrisystem with food that is new for 2022.
It's hard to even believe this food could help you lose weight.
You jump on the scale and you're like, yes!
Nutrisystem follows a high-protein, low-glycemic approach that keeps your blood sugar steady so you feel full as you lose the weight. And wait till you try new premium meals with up to 30 grams of protein. And that's not all that's new.
New restaurant favorites are my favorites.
I love the toasted raviolis.
Get meals and snacks delivered free with a money-back guarantee.
I look at pictures now and I'll go, you look good.
Act now and get 50% off all plans.
I've lost 127 pounds.
40 pounds. 47 pounds on Nutrisystem.
Go online or call 888-585-TRIM to get 50% off all plans.
Do you take aspirin? Plain aspirin could be hurting your stomach. Vazalore 325 liquid-filled aspirin capsule is clinically shown in a 7-day study to cause fewer ulcers than immediate-release aspirin. Vazalore is designed to help protect, releasing aspirin after it leaves your stomach, where it is absorbed to help prevent another heart attack or stroke. Heart protection with your stomach in mind. Vazalore, the first liquid-filled aspirin capsules. Amazing.
Do you feel like the way you clean your ears at home doesn't work well enough? I felt the same way, but then I tried the WaxRx ear wash system. WaxRx was designed by a doctor, and it's the same system used in medical clinics. The reusable WaxRx system has everything you need to effectively remove earwax at home without the inconvenience of a doctor's visit.
You should use the doctor-trusted WaxRx ear wash system. You can get it now at Walgreens and Walmart today.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, CEO of MyPillow. Retailers, shopping channels, and now even banks have tried to cancel myself and MyPillow. During these times, your support has meant everything to us. My employees and I want to personally thank each and every one of you by passing the savings directly on to you. For example, you can get my Giza Dream bed sheets for as low as $39.99 a set. That's a savings of 60% and the lowest price in history. And remember, they're made with the world's best cotton, grown where the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River all meet. They come with my 10-year warranty, and I guarantee they'll be the most comfortable sheets you'll ever own. So go to MyPillow.com now and use the promo code on your screen, or call the 1-800 number below to get my Giza Dream bed sheets for as low as $39.99, the lowest price in history. If you do it right now, I'm also going to include a free gift with your purchase. Thank you and God bless.
Finding a companion at this age, it's a gift.
I just love where I'm at right now.
Silver Singles gave me my life back.
Rediscover the magic of dating with Silver Singles. Sign up today at silversingles.com.
Don't you worry now. There's no need to hurry now. It's been a long, long day, and you can shine now.
Well, a developing story on the UK and Russia tensions right now. The United States expects that troops could move into Donbass as soon as tonight or tomorrow for their so-called peacekeeping missions. Now, we showed you this unconfirmed video earlier in the show, which reportedly shows Russian troops moving into military trucks into the occupied eastern area of Ukraine. Well, Newsmax will continue to follow this story and keep you up to date with the latest news from Eastern Europe. Now, let's take on the fake news.
Fewer than half of Democrats want President Biden to be their nominee in 2024.
I do not understand why he would not manifest that care into taking this investigation more seriously, contemplating the obvious failures of his administration.
Democrats, a lot of them have been frustrated with, President Biden going out there and saying inflation is, quote, transitory, like it's just temporary, it's going to go away. And it's been months now. It's only gotten worse.
President Biden came into office with this being his top priority. He was going to take on the pandemic. He was going to defeat the pandemic.
Whoop, there it is. So, I mean, look, even the people that rallied the hardest for Biden in the last elections are starting to realize, wow, this sucks. So this is usually the place where I give you the I told you so speech. But unfortunately, Americans are too busy working a second job, so they can't pay for the massive inflation costs. I mean, this is unbelievable. Folks, Republicans instill policies that work. We are a party of steely-eyed missilemen where the sky's the limit. We think everybody should have the freedom to do or not do whatever they want for themselves as long as it doesn't affect anybody else. Earn as much money or as little money as they want and not have to pay for government programs that have shrimps running on treadmills. That's all. In the other corner, you have Joe Biden. I mean, like, how are our elections a 50-50 proposition? It is just absolutely bananas to me. Joining me to break some of that down is managing editor at Newsbusters, Curtis Howe. Curtis, appreciate you being here.
Good to be with you, Carl.
All right, I'm sorry, but didn't the New York Times win a Pulitzer Prize on their Russian collusion hoax? And this is what is crazy to me. It is absolutely crazy to me that they were totally in the tank for the Democrats, and now all of a sudden they run this. Watch.
The hypocrisy of the New York Times here is off the charts. If you look at what they did with Hillary Clinton and her alleged email scandal versus how they basically buried the story of Trump eating classified documents, is off the charts and shows you just how much bias we have in the media for Trump.
Curtis, in the history of ever, has the New York Times ever buried a story in any event ever in an effort to trash Trump?
Yeah, Carl, I'm really struggling with this one. I don't know what racist venom is going on over at MSNBC. Rod Behead on Twitter refers to Ellie Mistel as mad scientist Fat Albert, and yeah. I don't know what he's got going on there. He's really divorced from reality. He kind of squares with the other videos you showed in the lead-in about just a general detachment from reality on behalf of the liberal media. I mean, generally they already are, but they're showing it. They're really having a difficult time with life right now because their guy Joe Biden and their other cohorts in the news media aren't really giving themselves anything. They're not really. Their unholy alliance has broken down. Imagine that guy who ran a campaign and isn't helping them out.
Yeah, no, who could possibly have seen that coming? All right, listen to what ABC had to say about Biden's performance.
Joe Biden ran as Harry Truman. He thought he was going to govern as Franklin Roosevelt. But this to me looks just like Jimmy Carter.
That's being generous. I mean, he handed back Afghanistan to terrorists. Shelves are empty. Inflation going up faster than Biden's approval rating is actually going down. The glaring ridiculousness of what has happened to this country since he became, like, in a year. Nobody thought he could screw this up that fast, and he did.
Right. The adults are supposed to be back in charge, Carl, and look what's happened. I mean, what are they asleep, or Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and we can't hear them? I don't know what's going on. Well, we do know what's going on. Joe Biden is asleep here, and Kamala Harris was over in the Munich conference with a completely different schedule than the Secretary of State. She was over there to burnish her political credentials. You know, this administration, everything they do and say can be seen through the lens of failure. And the news media, even when the news media is admitting that, they're still trying to figure out a way to couch themselves in talking about Trump somehow, making it about Trump. I'm sure Joy Reid, as we speak right now, while the show is airing, is going off about how, you know, it's probably Donald Trump's fault somehow that Putin is rolling tanks and troops into Ukraine, when no, we need to understand and remember what happened in 2014. None of this has to do with Republicans. It's the weakness, fecklessness of the left, and the news media is totally accomplices in that. So I hope they're happy.
Yeah. So let's let the spinning begin. Watch. They have more walls than fencing. Okay. This is hilarious. Capitol perimeter fence erected after January 6th riot will be reinstalled ahead of Biden's State of the Union address on March 1 as the Truckers' Freedom Convoy heads for Washington. I thought this was a party that said that walls and fences don't work. Why the heck would they instill it before the State of the Union? Are they afraid of something, Curtis?
Right. I mean, it's the same reason that they have walls and fencing installed at their own houses, that Sonny Hostin lives in a multi-million-dollar home with tons of security. It's the same sort of thing. So how about, just bear with me, Carl, how about saying encroachments on people's rights is bad, no matter what side you're here?
Whoa. We can't have that here, okay?
Yeah,
if your rights interfere with their narrative, you don't have right. Those rights aren't rights anymore. They're privileges, Curtis.
Right, exactly. Privileges, because, you know, we can't have that anymore in this world run by Nicole Hannah-Jones. But I'm just not surprised, obviously, by what's going on here with the State of the Union. But, you know, considering there's going to have to be proof of vaccination, there's not going to be a full house, everybody has to be masked. It's not entirely surprising that fencing is going up anyway, because they probably think putting fencing up will keep COVID out.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Put up a chain link fence to keep a virus out. You know what? You're probably right. They probably are thinking that. Curtis Houck, we appreciate you joining us.
Thanks, Carl.
All right. Well, America isn't taken seriously anymore on the world stage because of Joe Biden. Sure. I mean, look, definitely. But there's a lot more to this. Stick around and find out.
I'm Mike Huckabee, former governor of Arkansas and 2016 presidential candidate. Like many of you, I've struggled to get a good night's sleep for most of my adult life. I wasted at least 2 hours a day of my life tossing and turning, trying to shut my mind down. Until about 2 years ago, that's when I saw an ad on TV for Relaxium Sleep. I decided to order it, and it literally changed my life. Developed by renowned neurologist and sleep expert Dr. Eric Ciliberti, Relaxium Sleep is clinically proven to help you fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up refreshed. Relaxium's exclusive triple action formula addresses 3 key factors that contribute to insomnia. I like that it's non-habit forming. It's made in the USA. There's simply nothing else like it. Relaxium Sleep comes with a 100% money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. In fact, they're so confident it'll work for you, they're giving away 1,000 bottles today. With Relaxium Sleep, I fall asleep as soon as my head hits the pillow. In the morning, my mind is sharp, and I've got energy that I enjoyed when I was younger. Both my wife and I have been paying customers of Relaxium Sleep for over 2 years now. And I know once you've experienced the amazing difference it can make in your life, you will be too. I trust my night to Relaxium Sleep. And so should you. Try Relaxium Sleep risk-free for 30 days. Use the promo code on your screen for free expedited shipping.
Call 800-837-1838 or visit tryrelaxium.com. That's 800-837-1838 or visit tryrelaxium.com. Fall asleep, stay asleep, wake refreshed with clinically proven Relaxium Sleep. Act now.
You'll be glad you did.
Trust United Relaxium Sleep.
There's a clear and present danger in neighborhoods like this. It's deadly fentanyl, and it's killing our kids. How's it getting here?
Right here, through our border. That's why Governor Abbott deployed the National Guard to assist law enforcement at the border. He's given us new authority to arrest trespassers and has increased jail capacity to handle criminal arrests. Joe Biden should be securing this border, but he won't.
That's why Governor Abbott is getting the job done.
People everywhere living with type 2 diabetes are waking up to what's possible with Rybelsus. The majority of people taking Rybelsus lowered their blood sugar and reached an A1C of less than 7. Rybelsus isn't for people with type 1 diabetes. Don't take Rybelsus if you or your family ever had medullary thyroid cancer, or have multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2, or if allergic to it. Stop Rybelsus and get medical help right away if you get a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, or an allergic reaction. Serious side effects may include pancreatitis. Tell your provider about vision problems or changes. Taking Rybelsus with a sulfonylurea or insulin increases low blood sugar risk. Side effects like nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea may lead to dehydration, which may worsen kidney problems. Wake up to the possibility of lower A1C with Rybelsus. You may pay as little as $10 for up to a 3-month prescription. Ask your healthcare provider about Rybelsus today.
When I was 6 years old, one of my moms had an accident that left her paralyzed. Doctors said she might never walk again. But she tapped into my family's pride to get back on her feet, eventually standing at the altar to marry my other mom.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is an ad for the United States military. You get that? 2 minutes talking about this woman's 2 moms and 5 seconds of her actually being in the military. I wonder why Putin isn't taking us seriously. But it's not just the military, it's even the CIA.
I can change a diaper with one hand and console a crying toddler with the other. I am a woman of color. I am a mom. I am a cisgender millennial who's been diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder.
Who cares? I don't care if you can change a baby's diaper or whatever. Can you do your job? The only question that should concern our military and our intel community is, can you find the bad guys, give that information to our military so we can go kill them and break their stuff? Full stop. This is insane. This is the reason that no country takes us seriously anymore. The military is not a social experiment. You want to know what a good military ad looks like? The kind of ad that recruits tough, battle-ready people to win wars. You might have noticed that's not an American military ad. That's a Russian military ad. And ours should be tougher, because when bullets start flying, I don't care if you're a cisgender whatever with 9 moms. I care about your ability to shoot back. Can you beat the enemy of the United States? If you're concerned about anything else like white rage or whatever, find a different job. This is why no one takes America seriously on the global stage right now. Because while Russia is putting out ads like this, we're too busy talking about our feelings and making sure no one's offended. It's absolutely ridiculous, folks. But I do appreciate you watching tonight. I'm Carl Higg. Remember to catch me on Saturday and Sunday morning starting at 7 a.m. Eastern. We'll see you there. And Stinchfield is next.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Stinchfield. We have breaking news for you tonight. Tension between Russia and Ukraine is boiling over. Vladimir Putin is now ordering peacekeeping troops into eastern Ukraine after declaring Russia would recognize the independence of those two areas, Donetsk and Luhansk. This is in complete defiance of Ukraine's sovereignty, by the way, but by recognizing their independence, Russia is saying to the world, we will now defend them. And of course, Team Biden is out with another weak response to all of this, announcing an executive order against those Russian separatist regions. They're not even sanctions, really. Biden is telling American companies they can no longer do business with these newly created Russian countries. But this should really go through Congress. Maybe even worse is Biden just said okay to Putin, and he recognized these countries in this order. We will have much more on this with former White House advisor to President Trump, Sebastian Gorka, later tonight on why none of this is, of course, good for America. But we begin tonight with this. Tonight, I want to speak directly to law enforcement here in America. The escalation of oppression in this country, the use of so-called, quote, emergency powers by Joe Biden and the left-wing governors who mimic him, poses a clear threat to freedom in America. All of us who love this country are watching what unfolded in Canada over the weekend. Good, hardworking, law-abiding, freedom-loving men and women being brutalized by law enforcement following the orders of an evil, ill-intentioned leader. They arrested 170 of those truckers at last count, and if you don't think this is the same scene that could play out in America, think again. So my message to cops in Canada and, of course, here in the United States is this. The very same people dispatching the law to break up a peaceful protest are the very same people that were demanding cops allow the violent ones to continue. The same people telling officers to arrest freedom lovers and freeze the bank accounts of anyone speaking their mind are the same people that called for defunding of the police. What disturbed me so much about this weekend's atrocities on Capitol Hill in Ottawa is that the very people being targeted by law enforcement, the very same people cops on horses trampled, are Canadians who all have the utmost respect for cops coming in for them. The Prime Minister of Canada has no respect for those who wear the badge. It is exactly why he thought nothing about unleashing them on the people. Sadly, instead of refusing to comply, far too many officers, in my opinion, actually seem to relish in the bullying behavior.
We love you. We love you.
Can I go for a
Still being arrested right now. Do you live in this? You're not excluded from that.
But I'm Alberta.
Time for you to leave.
I can't even go down there for coffee.
No. We see you again, it'll be different.
Leave. I tell you. Take your camera and get out of here. Do you understand that? Hold the line!
Here comes the horses.
It's hard to watch. None of that needed to happen. Now, I understand they're Canadian cops. They're not the same as cops here in America. Canada has a long history of abusing human rights, but those cops are not the ones that I fight for every day. And I do fight for law enforcement every day. I do, from the bottom of my heart. So if you're a police officer today, I ask you, this is a serious question, what are you going to do? Every one of you that puts a badge on, what are you going to do when Americans are parked outside the White House or in some state capitol someplace, when they are dancing and singing together, not once engaging in any violence or racist activity as the left loves to falsely claim about the Canadian truckers, when the people in America stand together to call out the ruling class and the oppression they are handing down, will you, as law enforcement, let the ruling class weaponize you against the people you took an oath to protect. We aren't there yet, but I would hope and pray the answer is no, you would not. Everyone who puts a flag on their shoulder needs to ask, who's my boss? Is it the chief? Is it the mayor, the governor, the president? In this case, the prime minister? Or is it us? Is it the people? Is it your mom and dad, your family, your neighbors? I would argue in the end, for every law enforcement officer out there, it must be the people. And in America, where we have a constitution, that is what must be defended, not the ego of some overzealous, tyrannical hypocrite. Just listen to the people who risked it all, still calling for peace, love, and unity after everything that unfolded of rousting that group away from Parliament Hill this weekend.
We came so far. We have accomplished so much. You will see the ripple effects, and that is because we stayed peaceful in the face of all of that. When we saw people crying, getting beaten, we helped them and we stayed peaceful. So do that. Make sure you stay true to that, because that is what is going to change. Look at all the videos going across the globe right now. The world gets to see it. They get to see the truth, all of it.
You better believe they do. I have so much respect for the people that issued that protest there and spent such a long time there. It worked more than any other protest that I've ever seen. You know who else I have utmost respect for? It is those who wear the badge. This is why this weekend I was filled with disappointment, because I see this happening in America at some point. It will happen, probably in a northern city like Washington, D.C. or New York City. But I even had shame for those who took part in breaking up those freedom-fighting truckers. I had shame because I respect cops so much. I will give many of them the benefit of the doubt here. I am sure the masses there, the men in blue, they were told that these were dangerous people. They were told that this was a convoy that consisted of violent lawbreakers. They were told these truckers were all racist. None of that is true. So again, here is my message to every cop out there. No longer can you sit back and simply take the word of a supervisor, not your patrol sergeant, not your president. You have to critically think and stand firm to your oath to defend America and the freedom that it provides us, which includes, of course, free speech and the right to assemble. Those are rights handed to us by God, by the way. Canada has a long history of disrespect for human rights. It does. America isn't Canada, but it can become Canada in a nanosecond. So just remember, the worst atrocities in history were all committed by people who claim they were just following orders. So what's almost just as jarring as the Canadian police's tyrannical crackdown on peaceful protests is their suppression of these protesters' freedom of speech, actually arresting and blocking journalists and protesters from taping and videotaping what's really happening. One of those protesters joins me now. Her name is Kristen Nagel, and I watched much of her live shots over the weekend. And of course, we lost her, which is totally, totally unfortunate, because this woman was amazing with the live shots that she had videotaped from these protests. Here's what they're up against, though. This is Justin Trudeau talking about what will happen if the truckers come back. Listen to Justin Trudeau.
If the act is used in a preventive way, what is the threshold to remove it? Because the truckers could come back in 2 months, 3 months, so does that mean we have to keep it for another 2-3 months? Indeed, this is something that we're thinking about, of course.
Yeah, he basically says they're going to do the same thing, don't come back. Kristen Nagel is back with us. I'm glad we got our live shot back. Kristen, welcome to the program. You can keep up live. Apparently, we can't keep you up live, but you managed to go for hours live at these protests. Tell me your reaction to everything that unfolded this weekend as you sit here tonight with me, Kristen.
Yeah, I still haven't really been able to completely find the words to really describe what I witnessed and what I took part in. I was in the front lines all day Friday, all day Saturday, facing the officers, talking to them, pleading with them, sharing my story, and then just being there for my fellow Canadians. I'm still in shock that this happened. I think I still have a lot of processing to do. I am completely heartbroken and just in utter disbelief that this is where we're at now here in Canada, that we are in completely police state.
Kristen, what I saw at Black Lives Matter, Antifa protests, people throwing bottles, human waste at officers, spitting at officers. Was there any of that going on from the protesters there before the officers moved in? Or even during when they moved in?
No, absolutely not. I am still so honored and proud of my fellow Canadians. We came in there with a strong message of peace. It was a peaceful protest. It was of love. I have never been around so many loving humans in my entire life. It didn't matter our differences. It didn't matter where we came from. We were there for one purpose, and that was for the freedoms of our country. And throughout the 21 days, the way we united was like nothing I've ever felt before. It was electric. It was addictive. It was just this feeling of how we should be living. And that is how we continued to be, even when the police came at us with brute force, rubber bullets, batons. They hit a woman on the head with the butt end of a gun. I mean, the horses trampling. I was there right beside that. When that happened, absolutely horrific, and people still continued to sing "Amazing Grace." They prayed. They spoke to the hearts of the officers. They helped their fellow patriots with them, and they still continue to just stand there and sing "O Canada" with just so much love
Kristen,
and pride. It's amazing.
Were there any officers, because I heard many of you yourself, others, trying to reason with the officers, asking them, ask yourself, what side of history will you be on? Ask yourself what your kids will think of this down the line. Were there any officers that showed any empathy or sign that they may be on your side and they were doing this under distress?
I did a video of them, and I got right up into all their eyes, and I said, I want the whole world to see your eyes before you, embark on us. And several of them, their eyes looked conflicted, and a couple of them looked teary. And I asked the one officer, I was like, is this a proud moment for you? And he said, I suppose not.
It had to be hard for many of them. I give much of them the benefit of the doubt. I think many of them were lied to. It was told at this protest it was violence, even leading up to this. Was there ever any violence? I mean, even police are telling us there weren't.
No, and I mean, with that many people in a crowd, for that length of period, you're probably going to have, a bad seed. But even the officers said the best part about you guys being here is you're self-regulating. So you are taking care of the situations. When you see something happening, you take care of it before it escalates, and you remove, whether it's an individual or de-escalate the situation and diffuse it. I never witnessed any violence or anything going on, and I was there day in and day out for the 21 days, and I witnessed nothing but love. Bouncy castles, street hockey, barbecues.
Well,
amazing.
Kristen, I'll tell you, you did a tremendous service. Look, I host a national program here on Newsmax, and I was watching you for information almost all day, Saturday and into Sunday. I would check back in with you to see exactly what was going on, and I thank you for that. And I thank all the protesters out there that really, I think, made a huge difference in all of this, and I think we can all take them as inspiration, and you too. Kristen Nagel, thank you for coming on tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Keep us posted on what goes on up there. This is a very, very important story, folks, that we won't stop covering. So Vladimir Putin of Russia just made a declaration today that all but says he's going into Ukraine, and what does Joe Biden do? He begs. That's right, he begs. I'll explain next.
Congress created rules to help you retire. All you had to do was work hard, save, and play by them. But now Congress has changed the rules on you in the middle of the game. They've created new traps that could force you to pay a 50% punishment tax if you make one wrong move. The Wall Street Journal called it a bait and switch. Everything you worked for could be at stake. To find out more, get the new hidden landmines set to blow up your retirement savings from Newsmax Finance. The new special report reveals how to skirt the new tax traps. Claim your free copy today. Supplies are limited, so act now.
Attention, a common herbicide, paraquat, has been linked to Parkinson's disease.
If you suffer from Parkinson's and think you may have been exposed to an herbicide containing paraquat, call White Hart Legal now. You may be entitled to substantial compensation.
Call White Hart Legal now, and in less than 2 minutes you can find out if you may qualify.
Your Parkinson's may have been caused by the herbicide paraquat, and you may be entitled to compensation. Call 1-800-485-5400. That's 1-800-485-5400.
I served in the Korean War.
Vietnam.
Afghanistan. I'll be in this wheelchair the rest of my life.
I suffered a traumatic brain injury.
I lost my legs. But ever since I came home,
The moment I got back,
DAV was there.
DAV is here for me now.
Disabled American veterans have been there for the past 100 years, helping disabled veterans get the financial and medical benefits they've earned and the care and support they need because of people like John.
And supporters like Sarah.
Will you be the one who supports our veterans now?
When you call DAV with your gift of $19 a month, only 63 cents a day, it means more than you can imagine to a veteran who has proudly served our country.
It shows us we are not alone. We are not forgotten.
And our sacrifice is appreciated.
But we need your help now, more than ever. We need heroes like you who will stand with our veterans today and tomorrow.
Veterans, just like Tom.
When you go to helpdav.org right now and give just $19 a month, we'll send you this blanket as a thank you and a reminder to support our nation's greatest heroes. Please call or go online now. If operators are busy, call again or give today at helpdav.org. Your support honors our veterans' service and shows your commitment to serve them today.
Well, folks, today Russian President Vladimir Putin announced that Russia would recognize the independence of two areas in eastern Ukraine, Donetsk and Luhansk. These new, quote, independent nations in the eyes of Russia means, of course, Russia will defend them, which also means Russia will control them. My fear is Russia will now move into eastern Ukraine, maybe even as far as the Dnieper River, which runs right through the heart of Ukraine and splits the city of Kyiv. Biden's response? Well, he just about begs Vladimir Putin for a meeting. And as expected, it's looking like Putin is telling Biden to just go pound sand. Biden is weak. Why would he meet with him? And we all know that Vladimir Putin won't do anything to stop from going in if he wants to go in, and Joe Biden won't do anything to stop Putin's looming invasion. The mixed messaging coming from the administration is embarrassing. Some experts tell me Biden wants war to make him look tough. Some say he wants to meet with Putin to avert war, to make him look like a statesman. The truth is, I think both of these sides give Joe Biden far too much credit. I don't think this administration knows what they want, much less what they should do, which is why today we get this.
We've been saying for a while now, Willie, it could happen any day. Today could be that day.
As President Biden said the other night, everything we're seeing tells us that the decision we believe President Putin has made to invade is moving forward.
We believe that the world must mobilize to counter this kind of Russian aggression should those tanks roll across the border, as we anticipate they very well may do in the coming hours or days.
Several weeks ago, I think for maybe a day, we used the word imminent, and we believed we sent the wrong message.
They've been saying imminent from the start of this whole thing. And I told you it wouldn't happen until at least after the Olympics, and we're past the Olympics now. They are all over the map on their messaging. And you want to know how to stop Vladimir Putin? I will tell you how to stop him. You make a private phone call to him if you're president, and you say if you go into Ukraine, the United States will destroy every military base you have inside Russia. Try me. You don't publicize it. You don't tell the world you said this. You tell it to Vladimir Putin, okay? You just make sure the biggest bully in the world hears that message loud and clear. Here's why it works. No one wants World War III, not us, not the Russians, not China. So if you're president, let them think you are just crazy enough to start World War III, and that, folks, is how you avoid it. That's not my model either, by the way. That is the Trump-Reagan model, and it worked to keep us all safe. The Biden model amounts to this. Issue an executive order today telling Americans not to do any business in these two new Ukrainian regions that Putin wants you all to believe are new countries. They aren't new countries. But Joe Biden basically just recognized them as such today, giving Putin even more confidence to do whatever he wants. Well, joining me now to help break all of this down is former White House advisor of the Trump administration, host of the Gorka Reality Check here on Newsmax. Dr. Sebastian Gorka is with us. Dr. G, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Grant.
What do you make of the Biden administration's response to this so-called executive action? It should go through Congress, any sanctions anyway, before a president could just order something like this?
Where to begin? So I just tweeted out as I was coming on your show the photograph the White House has posted of the Situation Room with Biden, with Mark Milley, with Blinken sitting there with their masks on despite being boosted and vaccinated, and with their nameplates turned not towards each other as you normally do, but turned towards the camera so everybody can know how important they are. And it's a pathetic clown show. Just look at that picture on my Twitter feed. And early today, I tweeted out one thing. Putin is invading, Grant, for one reason and one reason alone. Because my former boss, Donald Trump, isn't in the White House. Vladimir Putin is invading because a senile, old coward of a machine politician, one of the most corrupt in American history, is sadly the commander-in-chief. And today, what did they say? They said they're going to sanction the breakaway republics that declared themselves independent anyway back in 2014. Are you insane? So you're not going to sanction Russia. You're going to sanction parts of Ukraine that have declared themselves independent because they have a Russian minority. This is a bad joke.
It really is. And it's literally, as I said, the president of the United States just recognized them as Putin wants them recognized as somehow independent nations, which is ridiculous. Let me play a soundbite. I can't believe this question comes from Chuck Todd. In many respects, maybe the only shining light out of all of this is Putin has shed a light on just how good President Trump was for the world's safety. But listen to this from Chuck Todd with Antony Blinken, our Secretary of State.
Why is he escalating with Ukraine now? Why didn't he do this under the previous administration? Why do you think he didn't act then?
I hope you get a chance to ask him.
I hope. You want to answer for him, Dr. Gorka?
I call that drive-by journalism, just a random act of journalism from Chuck Todd there. Let me be clear what we did and I'm really annoyed. I'm going to use this platform now, Grant, if you allow me. I have friends who are conservatives who are saying, who cares about Ukraine? Let them rot. It makes no difference. Guys, can we be clear here? There is a vast difference between invading countries like the Bush neocons did and saying that nowhere matters. It is important not to let thugs do whatever they want to do. When a bully thinks he can do whatever he wants, there are consequences for all of us. That doesn't mean that U.S. troops have to deploy to Ukraine. But let me be clear. When we were in the White House, for the first time since the Soviet Union was established in 1917, what did an American president do? He gave the green light to the Pentagon to kill more than 200 Russian mercenaries in Syria. We've never done that. We've never killed Russians in their hundreds on the orders of a president, even during the Cold War. And that sent a message to all dictators. Guys, we're not going to invade every country on the planet and try and democratize them at the end of a gun barrel, but you play stupid games and you're going to win stupid prizes. And that's why the world's bad guys were afraid of Donald Trump. And nobody is afraid of the senile old man Biden and the cackling vice president.
Even on the most surface level of all of this, Americans love their pocketbooks and what is in it. You watch what happens to the markets when they go in. The markets tank, not because of Vladimir Putin, but because the markets don't like uncertainty. And that uncertainty will stretch all the way into Europe if he goes into Ukraine. And that alone is not going to be good for any of us if they want to say, hey, just ignore it. Sebastian Gorka, as always, good to see you. I can sense your frustration. You know, I had Rick Grenell on the other night, too. The whole, the Trump administration is so frustrated by all this. I feel you, my man, I feel you.
Our enemies were afraid, Grant, for 4 years, and our friends were treated as friends. That has all gone in 1 year.
Yeah, that's the sad reality. Sebastian Gorka, thank you as always. Team Biden's Afghanistan debacle exposed. We have one big, I told you so, but this one is dangerous. That's next.
Eric Bolling is back, and he's fighting big media, woke politics, and cancel culture. Every afternoon, Eric's new The Balance tells the truth and exposes the big lies. Watch Eric Bolling every weekday afternoon on Newsmax.
We all get hit by the storms of life. For Troy Conquest, his storm hit after coming home from serving his country as a Marine.
I had noticed my legs were swelling, and we went to Maine Medical Hospital, and they said, Mr. Conquest, can you get up for your MRI? And I remember pushing up off the bed, and I fell. Next thing I know, it was 3 weeks later, and I was paralyzed. PVA was there the first day.
Since 1946, Paralyzed Veterans of America has kept a promise to our wounded veterans. We will never leave a fallen comrade behind. I'm Ben Affleck, and I want to thank you for joining me and supporting Paralyzed Veterans of America. They need you now.
Please call or go online now to pvahero.org. Your gift of only $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, will provide the life-saving help our paralyzed heroes need now.
With your monthly support, you're honoring the sacrifice our wounded veterans have made to defend our freedom. Show them their sacrifice has not been in vain.
Your monthly support will help paralyzed veterans receive specialized medical care, support research and treatments, and fight for the accessibility they deserve.
Our injuries have closed the door. PVA has opened the door.
Call or go online right now to pvahero.org with your gift of just $19 a month. Use your credit card and receive this PVA Team t-shirt to show that you are fighting for our paralyzed veterans.
PVA has brought me back to life. I've fallen a few times, and PVA is like, get up. We just keep getting up.
Our veterans fought for us. Let's fight for them.
Call or donate online at pvahero.org today. Our veterans need you.
If you have COPD, ask your doctor about Breztri. Breztri gives me better breathing and helps prevent flare-ups. Before Breztri, I was stuck in the past. I still had bad days. Flare-ups, which kept me from doing what I love. My doctor said, for my COPD, it was time for Breztri. Breztri gives you better breathing, symptom improvement, and helps prevent flare-ups. Like no other COPD medicine, Breztri was proven to reduce flare-ups by 52%.
Breztri won't replace a rescue inhaler for sudden breathing problems. It is not for asthma. Tell your doctor if you have a heart condition or high blood pressure before taking it. Don't take Breztri more than prescribed. Breztri may increase your risk of thrush, pneumonia, and osteoporosis. Call your doctor if worsened breathing, chest pain, mouth or tongue swelling, problems urinating, vision changes, or eye pain occur.
If you have COPD, ask your doctor about Breztri.
It can be dangerously easy to steal your identity.
Hey, wait!
Now it's easy to help protect yourself. Identity theft protection starts here at LifeLock.com.
Folks, we have warned you for months the consequences of allowing in tens of thousands of unvetted Afghan refugees into the United States. Well, now, in an explosive review conducted by the Defense Department's Inspector General, it is now exposing Team Biden's Afghanistan debacle as if we didn't know it was bad enough. The report states the Biden administration allowed in at least 50 Afghans with potential, quote, significant security concerns. So in other words, that means terrorists. And if it couldn't get any worse, that same report warns those unvetted Afghans with possible terrorism ties have now gone absolutely missing, vanished inside the United States. To date, Team Biden has released all of the 76,000 Afghans into American communities across the nation. So the question is, how many more countless Afghans with security concerns could have slipped through the cracks than the just 50? I think there's more. All of this amounts to an impeachable offense, in my opinion. Team Biden is willfully putting American lives in danger right here at home. Well, joining me now is someone who has consistently warned us about Team Biden's incompetent Afghan refugee resettlement program. We're talking about Newsmax contributor and former acting Customs and Border Protection Commissioner Mark Morgan. Mark, welcome back.
Thanks, Grant.
So you and I talked at length about this. We knew you couldn't vet these people, but now we have no idea where at least 50